Welcome back to the Arsenal show. Jorginho to Arsenal. Caicedo third bid. We got a massive over 24 hours until the transfer window slams shut, and Arsenal, as Arsenal fans, as Gooners, will know what we will be working with for the rest of the season. But of course, we're going to talk about that and much more in the Arsenal show. So guys, get your popcorn ready. It's going to be a good one. Wagwan, everyone. I hope you're doing well and welcome back to the Arsenal show. Of course, as I said at the intro, and I am joined by my main man, the co-host of the Arsenal show, in Wilf. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm loving life.
Of course, we're still top of the league. We're still very much the hot topic being spoken about in the transfer windows. And, you know, we've dominated the headlines throughout it all, you know, from the very start, even from before it began, with what Arsenal are going to do with this title challenge and this title charge. And Arsenal, we've been maintaining that. So we've still been doing good. But yeah, man. We'll get in before we get into it. What we'll do, guys, for us, we'll talk about quickly our thoughts on the Man City game. I know I did a watch long for it, but it'd be interesting to hear Will's thoughts and my thoughts as well post game, because yeah, and let's see if they have changed since then. But big up everyone in the chat. We got Ed in the place. Hope you're doing well.
Dad? How you doing?
Exactly. Even as a non-Arsenal fan, I love these videos. Keep it up, boys. Big up yourself, Ed. Big up yourself, man. Big up Moss in the building. Feel like something dying inside. Jorginho, say ain't so, Edu. We'll definitely get into that as well. But I hope you're keeping good, Moss. Peeny Ween in the building says,
yes, Peeny.
The mood of this fan base is ridiculous, in my opinion. But, Daddy, I want an Oompa Loompa now. Things are really good. Things are really good. Maybe meltdown when they aren't so good. Yeah, maybe so. I hear what you're saying, Peony, and there is a lot of outrage.
That's football fans, man. They any chance for a meltdown, they do. They do. So.
Exactly. Big up yourself, Luke, in the place. He says, back to the days of signing past it, Chelsea rejects. Big up yourself, Tezzy. Says, it's Will. Well, I hope you're keeping well, Tezzy. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you there. We also got Mr. 200 saying, good evening, Tereak and Wilf. And then Know-How in here says, what are we looking at behind Wilf? Banjo, frying pans, or pendulums?
Pendulums, man. Pendulums.
Yeah, exactly. Pendulums right there. But I hope you're keeping well.
Because the clock is ticking on us winning the title.
Okay. I'll take that. The clock is ticking for that. I was thinking transfer market, but I'll take that.
Nah, bro. I think bigger picture.
Exactly. And big up Paxton and Red Devil Yannick also in the building too. But Wilf, let's get into it. Let's talk about, first of all, we'll spend a little bit I want to hear your thoughts on, you know, the Manchester City game was on Friday, the start of the weekend. We lost by 1-0. Much change. Well, a much changed side compared to what I thought initially.
Yeah.
With the lineup. But what's your thoughts overall now?
I think that was a lot more telling than I thought it was going to be for both sides. I think for me, there is a shift in mentality from the outcome of that game. I think Man City they realise they're up against a different animal that they're chasing down. This is not Liverpool. It's an unknown, hungry, you heard Pep say it, hungry, aggressive young lion coming to take over the pride. I think it showed that, people were complaining about our B team, this, that, and the other. That was much a B team. And it took a very decent goal to break down that team, you know what I mean, and win. City have got to come play us. City, everybody's talking about, we still got to play City, and we had Houdini handling Haaland. Yeah, he picked up a booking and all the rest of it. But for the most part, Haaland didn't score. How many teams can say that this season? Yeah, and Holding ain't anywhere near the first team squad. I think it shows that Arteta is more and more getting Pep's number. He's got him. He's in Pep's head, and I think Pep might have to. He's not going to come out and say, well, he has come out and said it. I think he may just throw all his eggs in the Champions League basket this season, because I don't think, unless we slip up badly, I don't think he thinks he can catch us or maintain the pressure needed to catch us.
Interesting. I hear what you're saying with some of that, with what you mean, what you're saying about that, and in terms of our performance. But for me, I was impressed with our performance. It was much better than I thought it was going to be initially. When I saw the likes of Holding on the team sheet, I was very much worried about that battle with Haaland. And even in the initially early stages, it worried me even more when he was getting really tight to him. We got the rub of the green with that first decision, which was straight from kickoff, because Holding was certainly doing like his namesake in Holding Haaland in that situation, but where we got the free kick, and I thought, okay, maybe there was a little bit of flashbacks to where we dealt with Son in that situation, and he was definitely carrying it out in that way and tried to be a bit more measured, but also got physical with him and followed similar tactics to what Everton did with Ben Godfrey at that point.
I remember you saying on the watch along that you were worried about the lineup to begin with.
Yeah, I definitely was. And also when I was looking at not even apart from Holding, I wasn't really too concerned about Matt Turner, Tomiyasu, or Tierney. But then that was just the main part, because even in possession, I think that was probably even more of a worry, because what we've seen from Holding in possession at points, even in the Europa League, is he can't quite progress the ball as quickly as a Gabriel or Saliba can. And they are two top centre-backs at that, not just for what they do without the ball, but what they do with it and progressing it into midfield, which is why I think also, Thomas Partey, he was keen playing. And I think I actually do believe that even if Mohamed El-Neni was fit, that we would have seen Thomas Partey with Holding in that team, because I think if you have Holding and El-Neni against City, you will struggle to break the ball and pass it forward and break through the lines and get the likes of Trossard, who was immense, I thought, and Ketia, who I thought he had a decent game. I thought he wasn't quite at his sharp. He's not his sharp, brilliant best, but the same goal for Saka as well.
Probably because they've both been running to the ground a bit of late.
Yeah, exactly that. I think that was the big factor, because with Eddie as well, when we saw in that game, he was he was knackered after about 65 minutes, and we definitely needed a replacement for him, but we currently don't have that, and especially with Emile Smith-Rowe's injury, we don't have that right there and available right now. Would you agree with my assessment with that there?
100%. Yeah. There's nothing I can't disagree with there. The performance, when you consider that this, because remember, people saying, "Oh, this isn't the City of old." It's not far off, because there's still a 45-point City.
Yeah.
Had we not be doing as well as we are, City would be running away with the title. People will be saying they're running away with the title. So just because we're in front of them, don't mean that they're a bad side. What it showed is that our level has jumped since last season. You know what I mean? Where our second string team can match them. Credit is to go to Arteta and Edu and Josh for getting us moving making that bigger jump. I can't disagree with anything that you said about the performance levels of squad players. They stepped up. We lacked a cutting edge because Eddie was tired. Saka was definitely they were definitely blowing after 60 minutes. But that said, that's not the team that's going to be playing them in the league.
No. Of course, we'll see the mainstays if they are fit and available for it in Thomas Partey, Xhaka, of course, and then Gabriel, he'll also be there, and then Eddie Nketiah, I think will also, and Saka. But then it's good to see that we do have some depth in some other areas, in like Trossard, who gave us that brilliant performance. We've got Ibis coming. We'll get into
Trossard. Talk about prem proven. The guy is ready to go to war.
Hit the ground running with, and he did when he came off the bench also. And then Matt Turner, who each game he comes in, he keeps improving and taking it to the next level. And for someone who
very impressed by him.
Very
impressed by him since he started. From pre-season.
From someone who's never had to play in this type of way before, ever in his career, and he's only recently really become a professional footballer. He's taking to it like a duck to water and learning very fast. Tierney and Tomiyasu, of course, you can see the difference, especially in Tierney when Zinchenko came on. Zinchenko's just on another level in terms of intelligence. And I was having a big debate today with a Man City and a Man United fan talking about Zinchenko. Big up yourself, Ferbs and Patrick, if you are watching. But yeah, man, I guess it's for us as Arsenal fans. We know how good Zinchenko is, and a lot of City fans do as well. But it's still not quite common knowledge out there to how much of a leader, how technically brilliant this guy is, and how assured in possession he is, and how he helps us control games in the middle of half. And I think even when Zinchenko came on, a lot of talk has been made and a lot's been said about Sambi Lokonga. Guys, I want to hear your thoughts in the chat. But I thought when Zinchenko was on there, I thought Sambi Lokonga's performance improved on the ball as well. Defensively, his awareness. We'll get into talking the transfer targets.
Yeah, that's something that is underrated about what Zinchenko brings to this side, because he breeds confidence. He breeds assurance. When you've got him next to you or behind you, all of a sudden, you're a centre back. When you've got a really good goalkeeper behind you, you're willing to take a few more chances than if you've got someone not as good. It's the same principle with Zinchenko, because Sambi doesn't panic now because he knows behind him is a safety net.
Yeah,
so he can play his game a little bit more freedom, because that's what one of the things I think is wrong with Sambi, is that he's too much in his head. He's trying too hard, and when you try too hard, it doesn't flow that well. You make mistakes. You're not as assured in your passing and your tackling. But all of a sudden, he's like, okay, if I do make a mistake, Zinchenko's behind me. Okay, I can get my head up and I can start playing free football. And he does that with all players around him. You see that when he plays alongside Gabriel and other players like that.
What I will say is, though, Will, on the ball, that's never a question with Sambi Lokonga. That's not
the
issue. The issue is off the ball, and we saw that with the goal, unfortunately, and on other occasions where Odegaard was having a word with him as well.
That's what I'm saying to you. Even then, because he's got Odegaard having a word with him, and he's got Zinchenko now having a word with him, so it gives him a little bit more confidence to know that he's doing the right thing.
It's more to do with out of possession. Like with City, we couldn't get the ball off City in one period because Sambi Lokonga wasn't there engaging with them. His lack of confidence, not getting enough to a first team football. I think this is a big reason for it, and that having that lack of confidence, he's dropping it. He's not taking the amount of risks that we need from our defensive midfielder. This is why Partey is so good, because he takes those risks. But
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying to you. I don't. That's why his performance when Zinchenko came on slightly was better. Because he suddenly felt a little bit more confident about who is around him, and it's not the light isn't all on him now. Because when it was just him, it's like, well, I've got to be Thomas Partey, and there was a big shoes to fill.
Yeah. And that's it. That was on the ball. Yeah, I thought his performance improved, but then there was still that something missing off the ball, which I think it's hard really to get that, because you have to. Yeah, it takes a special player, which is why we're after the likes of Caicedo for the money that he is, and linked with the likes of Declan Rice, and even at a young age to show that it's quite difficult. So yeah, there's been a lot of talk about Sambi, but I'm not too harsh
he's
on him.
Going to make it. I don't think he's going to make it at Arsenal.
I think he still can. I think he needs first team football, bro. Because
I know, but I don't think he will get up to the level where we can trust him in a run of games. So it's a catch-22. He needs the first team football, but I don't think his attitude, his ability, his confidence is going to get him into a position where he can get those run of games.
Yeah, this is it though, because with Sambi Lokonga, like, there has been games where he has been good. Like, for example, the first game where he came in against Aston Villa when we won 2-1, I thought it was brilliant. In that game, I can remember that performance vividly. And when he first came into the side, there was the talent is there. That's not a question. It's just about nurturing that talent and molding it. And that's why I really think that he needs a loan. He needs to go out and play his football and really develop that area of his game.
I hope I'm wrong, because, like you said, there is a player in there, but can he do it consistently at that level?
Yeah,
I totally agree with you. When he's good, he's good. When he's bad, he's bad. You know what I mean? He's really noticeable, and it's really noticeable in both instances.
And the best way I can analyze this for you, I know we can't do it in this position, but Eddie Nketiah wasn't very good when he was having the odd start, and as soon as he got that run of games, I know he's not showing something yet that he's ready for that. That's why I think he needs a loan in that sense. But Eddie Nketiah, when he was coming, even in this season, when he was coming in the Europa League game, his performance levels weren't good enough at points in some games. But then as soon as you give him that run of games, that's when he's able to take it on and take it to the next level.
I think with the difference between the two, but I hear what you're saying, but I think the difference between the two of them is mindset.
Yeah,
I think so.
Do you know what? When we as fans question a lot of players' mindsets, we do it off of little bits. And let's not forget, this guy was a captain of Anderlecht at the age of 20. Yeah. He was a captain under the stewardship of a certain Vincent Kompany. He was probably one of the best captains to ever captain in the Premier League. He's up there with the best, and he has. This is adversity. Eddie Nketiah had to face adversity. There was a time where it looked like his contract wasn't going to get renewed. If we were talking about Eddie Nketiah 12 months ago, now we're talking about moving him on. Even as a club, and I think the club were. I know Arteta was very impressed with him, but because of the circumstances that we were in, he wasn't really getting an opportunity at this point. So it's all about how you deal with that. And this is a real test of his mentality and a real test of his mindset.
Yeah.
Right now. And Eddie Nketiah had actually better circumstances because he didn't have a Thomas Partey in front of him, where when Eddie Nketiah had a Aubameyang, I'm sorry, Eddie Nketiah wasn't getting a game. Do you know what I mean? Because that even when Aubameyang wasn't quite performing that level, but when Thomas Partey is, it's even harder, and you can understand why the player feels disheartened and whatnot.
I hear what you're saying, but I think with Eddie and Aubameyang, they were two different systems. That wasn't a system that showed Eddie to his best ability. Whereas now, when he came in and taken over from Jesus, it's more a system that is conducive to his abilities, which is one of the reasons why I think Arteta was so adamant about keeping him. Aubameyang, the way we played, that was going out. It was gone, because you remember Aubameyang wasn't. He couldn't do, if he ain't scoring, he's out of the game. That's why we had to have Lacazette and Aubameyang.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is Eddie in the pecking order. He wasn't.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
The reason I'm saying that is because in the pecking order, because Aubameyang, there's squad hierarchy. We all know this was his every business, and even in there, Eddie Nketiah, he didn't look like there was an opportunity 12 months ago. Well, I know 12 months ago, Aubameyang had that situation, but 13 months ago, Eddie Nketiah still wasn't given a run of games, and to begin with, and it looked like
but
this is why I'm saying in football things can change, and this is why he
100%.
needs a loan. And if he gets 100%. That loan and he's able to play more and develop and really get used to the English style, that's when I think he can move. But we got to get into some comments. We got to get into some comments because we've got plenty to go through. Ibi says, I felt both teams were in second gear, to be honest, but I will say our defensive performance as a whole is just getting better and better. Pep was surprised us going to man marking. Yeah, I agree. And we did go very tight, and it was an interesting tactic laid out by Arteta. And that's something that I can see him doing and pulling out in the next game in February, of course. And it will kind of stifle, and I think it did stifle a few of the... I thought he stifled Man City progressing the ball, getting the ball out to Haaland quickly, because the one thing that I was looking at was making sure we stop Haaland receiving the ball. Because once Haaland gets into those positions with his pure physicality and movement, and if you give him that space, I'm sorry, he's unstoppable. There's no defender that can mark him in those situations. But if you can get tight to him when the ball's been received to him early, and then also when he's not able to turn his back and run at you, because he's a freak, he's a train if he's running at you. If you can stop that. Exactly. And not allow Kevin De Bruyne to lift his head up and try and whip it into those spaces, which I thought we did excellently.
One thing I did notice, though, I was looking out for the battle between him and Saliba, and I would slightly disagree with you there, because I think I think our two centre-backs are probably the only two built to deal with Haaland.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but we didn't. But even in those situations, we didn't allow him to turn and run at us.
I don't. We shouldn't allow him to turn and get ahead of his team. But if he does, I don't think he's going to get much change. I'm not saying he's not going to score, because the geezer's, like I keep saying, a unicorn, an animal. But there was a couple of times where him and Saliba were in a bit of a foot race, and I just thought Saliba's handling this, brother. It was one of the battles that I was looking to see would happen, looking forward to seeing happening this season. I caught a couple of glimpses of it, and I think when we go to play him in the league with Saliba and Gabriel, you'll see him get pocketed for the first time. I think. I'm sticking my neck out in here and doing a hot take, but I think that will happen. By the way, big up to my man Alex, who's watching.
Hey, big up Alex. Big up Alex. What was I going to say? It's not the first time he's been pocketed, though, to be fair, this season. There has been a couple of occasions. But listen to Ed here. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe, people. And if you're not, drop a like. Hope you're keeping well, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Tetzi says, I'm even less scared of City than I was before. Totally agree. I think that some of that fear factor's gone, and we didn't lose anything in the psychological battle. We didn't get any psychological wounds from the back of this, and I don't really think that they've gained anything psychologically.
If anything, I think it was a psychological advantage for us, because I remember Luke and a few other people saying in the chat that we didn't want to go. Well, not just people in the chat. I've heard pundits say, "Oh, we didn't want to go there and get a battering and get hammered 4-0, 5-0, which could happen, and all the rest of it." This was a full strength City side that only beat us 1-0. So I think that psychologically that had the opposite effect of if we had got beaten 4-0. This is going to give us that mentality of wait, boy, you know when there's a bully at school and he comes to you and everybody's afraid of him and he thumps you and you go, wait, that weren't such a big thump, and you thump him back and he backs off. You suddenly go, you ain't such a bad man. You ain't so, and I think that's what happened in that FA Cup game, because we came out of there thinking they ain't all that. You know what I mean? It's more the fear factor of the name and Pep and De Bruyne and Haaland and this man and that man and whatever. But when you actually play them, we come out and go, you know what? We're up there.
Do you know what? Do you know what I'll say? And I think you're right. And the quick analogy that I'll use in terms of this, I think if you've ever watched the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder fights, we're the Tyson Fury and they're a bit of the Deontay Wilder. Not to this is an extreme way. I think we're the better side right now in terms of our whole cohesion and our whole play, but they still have that punch of a
big
Deontay
punch.
Wilder.
Yeah, they've got a knockout punch. Of course they have.
So you gain confidence as it grows, and so, but the main thing that we want for our players is yes, be confident, and they will anyway. They'll enter that game.
Yeah.
But if you even Tyson Fury, there was moments where you slack off.
Yeah,
you get
out.
He's got that right hook, and they do have that right hook from the left foot of Haaland and the right boot of Kevin De Bruyne. And
of course, 100%. And this, and don't get me wrong when I'm saying that. What the confidence that we gain, I'm not going in there thinking, oh, we're going to batter City. It just means I know we can go toe to toe with them, and they know it now as well. Yeah. So they need to be careful because they're going to they need to come out slugging. It's, to keep with the boxing analogy, we're literally ahead on points. So they need to be knocking us out. So over those 2 games, and I think I said this to you before, I think all the pressure is on City. And I'll tell you for why. One, everybody's expecting them to win the title. 2, everybody's expecting them to go on this mad run and chase us down and put the fear of God in us. And 3, they want Champions League, and it's a different team that they're chasing. With Liverpool, they knew what they were up against. They knew Mane, Salah, Firmino, whoever. They knew how they were going to play. They knew how they were going to chase down games. But with us, we're just grinding out. I wouldn't even say grinding out wins. We're battering teams, and this is a different mentality. Other than Arteta, he doesn't know the mentality of this side individually. Exactly. Okay, so Jesus and Zinchenko because he worked with them, but other than that, he don't know the mentality of this side. So he doesn't know when they're going to crumble. So I think all the pressure is on Man City. Nobody's expecting us to win it. Nobody was expecting us to be where we are. I mean, even the TPG said second. You know what I mean? So it's a no-lose situation for us. We don't win the title, but no one's expecting us to anyway.
Yeah,
let's see. If we do, go on.
Yeah, let's see what everyone else is saying because I'm just conscious because we've got plenty of comments in here. That we've only got through a few. Trossard was really good. I'm starting to go back and forth if I want him or Gabby to start this weekend, and that's the exact type of thing that we want. I think it's a good. And you know what? I thought this was the best performance we saw from Gabby off the bench, Gabriel Martinelli, that we've seen since the World Cup. And now, and there's no coincidence that we've seen the best of Gabby Martinelli again since there's been the arrival of Trossard, who's taken it up another level.
100%.
Exactly.
I was doubtful on Trossard. I know you had talked him up prior. I wasn't 100% convinced. I mean, I knew he was a good player. I've seen him throughout the season. You know what I mean? There was no doubt there. But he's blown me away, and I wanted to be blown away because I was a little underworld by the signing, obviously, because we were going for bigger fish. But I actually think, like Zinchenko, like Jesus, who else did we get? That was our second pick. They're gonna end up being better than the original ones. I mean, Vlahovic, we didn't get him, we got Jesus. Martinez, we didn't get him, we got Zinchenko. I think it's going to be in that category.
Yeah, Exactly. Hopefully so. And Luke says we're only halfway through the season. City are only 5 points behind. Don't trust anything Pep says. He's just playing mind games. I do think
100%.
I think you're right, Luke. I think he's playing mind games, but also I think there's a bit of truth in it as well. In what he's saying, because Pep doesn't just say things in a where it's completely false and completely fabricated.
No.
He's using truth and cold hard facts to try and motivate and get his troops up and going, as he did in the post-Tottenham game. Ed says those City games are pivotal. If City fail to beat Arsenal, I'm confident you guys win out. Yep, those City games for me, Arsenal just need to pick up one win in out of those.
Yeah.
And then City are chasing us for the rest of the season. Yeah, 4 points would be ideal. 6 points would be the dream. I'm happy with 3 personally.
Which is possible. Well, 6 points is feasible. And if you said that at the beginning of the season, we would play Man City and be genuinely thinking we could get 6 points. Again, that's crazy talk. People would have be looking to lock you away. But now you say that stuff, it don't really look that bad. You know what I mean? So
exactly. There you go. So let's have a go through here. Luke says we're reliant on Partey staying fit. Ed is sure if we're lucky with injuries, we've got a chance. But we'll talk. See, Luke, this is what we're trying to talk about in terms of at the end, with the transfer window, if we can get that addressed. Because at the moment, you are absolutely spot on. And not just Partey as well. At the moment, we're relying on Eddie Nketiah staying fit too. Let's not forget, we're quite short in some areas of the pitch and Saka, of course. So yeah, we just need to make sure that we get our key spine areas covered first. And yeah, hopefully we'll do that. But we'll talk about the news in that there. Moss saying Cancelo wanted out, cracks be opening in your Pep masterclass. Why not? Why people not mad at Pep for not keeping players happy? It's hard when you got so many quality players and
he doesn't have to.
Exactly. Very intense. I'm sure the same thing will happen with Arteta as well, Moss. I'm sure the same thing will happen.
But no.
And there was something that
it's not up to Pep to keep him happy. It's like it's simple. You want to win things, stay here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Stay here and deal with the system. I've got 2 squads. I don't need to keep you happy.
Yeah, it's true. And in Manchester City, he's got the finances also. But Pep said something in an interview at the start of the season. He said, you can't, after every win, you need to rejuvenate somehow, because the same thing we're going to have to do, guys, if we go on and win the title. We can't. I know we like to think, we've got this wonderful young squad like that can be here for ages. And it's not that. When you win, as soon as you get to the top of the mountain, staying at the top is even harder. Because
everybody's coming for you.
And
everybody's coming for you.
Have that hunger and that desire. Yeah. That's what I think it is with Cancelo. It's that hunger that's dying out. And I think Pep also said in the interview, I think I need to find it, because I remember watching it. It was the very start of the season. When you're a champion, they don't want to. When the players become champions, they don't want to listen anymore. Because they think I've become a champion.
Yeah,
and
I've done it now.
Yeah, and it's happened so much. Back to boxing and other sports.
Yeah,
how many times?
I was just thinking the same thing.
It's a lot easier to become the heavyweight, but it's way harder to hold hold the title. It's harder to do that, and we've seen
because you start partying and you start not training as hard, and you're getting let into free clubs and all the rest of it, and you're staying a little bit longer. And
the hunger's gone. It's the money, like even things like money and fame and everything being spoken about. It is, guys, we always speak about a lot of the mentality side of sport here, and that's why Sir Alex Ferguson was the greatest in rejuvenating. He'd get rid of Keane. He'd get rid of key players. He'd say he'd know the time when it is to call it
Stam. Bex, all them man, he just turfed out straight away.
Exactly.
I mean, there was 2 players that he was sentimental about, and that was Ryan Giggs and Paul Scholes. Everybody else was expendable. Even Ronaldo.
Yeah, even Ronaldo gave him one more season, and Ferguson still won leagues after that, so he was fine. Luke saying in terms of Lokonga, just can't play at the level we need him to. I agree. We need to stop it. We need to start playing him for his own sake. I wouldn't say.
I don't think it's for his own sake. I think it's more to do with to try and get him to understand the level that he needs to be at. Rather than playing it for his own sake, because we're in for something big. We want to build something now. We are building something. I think why Arteta is keep trying with Lokonga is for the kind of things he said. He was captain of was it Ghent or what team was he with? Anderlecht. Under Vincent Kompany. So there was something there. He's trying to spark what it was that we saw when we bought him.
Exactly what's Ed saying here. Also, he says it might be a bit basic, but I think Sambi lacks a physicality is also an issue. Definitely agree. The physicality is also there, and this is what I'm saying about time. And I know it's easy to write him off now, but Thomas Partey wasn't at the physicality level up until a year ago. In fact,
yeah. Also, there's another factor in the fact that when other teams see Sambi Lokonga as opposed to Thomas Partey there, they're like, okay, let's have a go at him. We can get at this side through Lokonga. When Partey's there, it's that people get a sinking feeling, oh God, this brother's gonna run things on his own, and he's done it left, right, and center. Wow, that's big chat from Ed there. And I think that is a negative for Sambi, and there's nothing he can do about that other than becoming a better player.
Big up yourself, Patrick, in the place. It says congratulations on winning the league. Hey, I think he's saying that a bit of tongue in cheek.
I know he is. It's still there is still a long way to go, but I believe.
Big up yourself, Patrick. It's going to be a good one. A good second half of the season. Big up everyone else who's locked in. We've got Rich in the building also. Matt G's in here. Nice seeing you in here, Matt G. I'm sure we'll definitely talk about the Enzo Fernandez situation also. And everyone else that's tuned in. We got Ferbs in here saying big up my bro T. Blessings and love to the community. Same way. Big up yourself, my brother. Love to you each and every time. We've got 10 Junior in the place also talking about Enzo in here. And guys, we need to talk about transfer news of our own. Of course, all the talk has been about Moises Caicedo of late. And we put in our first bid, which was 60 million, was rejected. A straight 60 million without any add-ons. And then we gave them 65 in our second bid, plus 5 million in add-ons, straight rejected again. And of course, you know it already. Brighton are saying he is not for sale. Zero Nico P, you aren't invisible. I can see you in here as well. But yeah, and he says, but we're winning the title. But yeah, so in regards to this, Moises Caicedo, we're going to have to wait and see what happens. He definitely is the priority. And secondary and the backup plan, as you can see from the title and thumbnail, is another Chelsea player in Jorginho. Wilf, I want to hear your thoughts initially on the links to Moises Caicedo, the whole situation there. Brighton saying he's not for sale. Arsenal still knocking at the door and still trying to convince them, trying to twist their arm and trying to increase the bid bit by bit. Or do you like our alternatives in a Jorginho? Onana's been spoken about also, and also Zubamendi has been spoken about. But there's so much going on right now. What's your thoughts, bro?
Firstly, the Caicedo thing, right? I like the way Arsenal are going about this because they're pushing, testing the water, yeah? Because I'm sure they believe that there is a price and they're close to it where Brighton would sell. But Brighton are weighing it up. And I don't blame Brighton in any way, shape or form because you do what's best for your club. Yeah. and they've been very astute in over the last couple of years. They're going for a European place. I think if they were 8th, 9th, 10th, something like that, I think this deal goes through. They'll go, okay, fair enough, we'll take the money and we'll invest it for next season. But with them going for a European place, they're weighing up, okay, yes, it's 60, 70 million. And for a club like Brighton, that's big monies. For someone we paid, how much did they pay for him? 5, 6, something like that.
Yeah,
something ridiculous,
something low, 5, ridiculous, 4 million. Yeah,
right, something like that. But it's so close to the end of the window. Could we get a replacement of that good to help us kick on? We've got a new manager in De Zerbi. What are you saying, De Zerbi? How you reckon we could do without Caicedo? And they're you know, what do we do? Which is totally understandable. What our fan base needs to remember is that if we get in Caicedo, he's insurance, not assurance of winning the title. If you get what I mean. Mm-hmm. He is cover for Partey if Partey gets injured. Yeah. So there's a lot of ifs and ands and whatever. And a lot of our fan base are thinking, oh, he's the missing link and he's going to come in and do this. He ain't a first team player. He ain't coming in and breaking into our so Caicedo's going to come in and take, and Partey's going to sit on the bench. No. It's a case of he'll be playing Europa League games. He'll be playing the games, no disrespect, but the games like Forest and Southampton and them kind of games where we can give Partey a rest. Yeah. Now, I think that our squad has players that can handle them games in Partey's position. Yeah. In those without sounding horrible, lesser games. You know what I mean? So this Caicedo thing, we game. I would like him. Yes. We don't. It's not the end of the world, because just like Modric and Caicedo didn't get us where we are. He had nothing to do with getting us where we are. The players that are under contract for Arsenal have got us where we are. And we've got players coming back. We have strengthened in this window. So I think we'll go to alternatives. I don't want Jorginho. I don't want and Luke's going to love this because I'm going to agree with him again. I don't want any more Chelsea rejects. Jorginho is 2 years past where he would be useful for us. The other two, yeah, they are good alternatives, and I think they've got buyout clauses, haven't they? The other two you mentioned.
Zubimendi has. I'm not sure about Onana. I don't think.
Yeah, I like Onana. Zubimendi, I don't know a great deal about, but with buyout clauses, the thing about it is we're going for players with buyout clauses. That's how we got Partey. Right at the end of the window, we just went, here's the money, and then walked away with him. That's why Atleti don't like us anymore, because we just took him. So we can push this Caicedo thing right to the wire if the alternative has a buyout clause and we just pay it. Yeah. And we got him. You know what I mean? If we have spoken to him already and said, listen, we want you here, but it might be this summer, but we're waiting till we got to deal with in this deal, and we got to deal with this first. But would you be interested? From the man says, yeah, you just go, right, buyout clause, boom, there you go.
Yeah, we'll get into it. Before I get into my thoughts, let me run through yours in the chat, because it is quite it's a good topic here, because There's quite a bit of debate in here, and I'm liking it, and I'm listening to
I know,
you guys
I'm
as
seeing
well.
it.
So let's have a look. We'll start from here. From Ibi says, no, Caicedo is disappointing, but can understand us not wanting to pay more than 70 million. Jorginho, in my opinion, would be a really good backup, and I'd be fine with that. And then we've also got Tezzy says, but Caicedo could eventually replace Partey. It's long planning.
Get me in the summer.
If you're putting in that money, it's definitely long term, indeed. But I'll get into my thoughts on that as well. Jorginho, 2-year contract for now, then Rice in the summer. I would not mind that at all. Matt G says,
forget how I was going to say, you forget how roasted he got when we played Chelsea.
Yeah, but well, I'll get into it. Matt
Go on. I'm just flinging in there.
Happening unless we go in 85 million minimum. It's going to have to be stupid. Matt G, that's one thing I can definitely say. It's already in stupid.
Yeah, it is already stupid money.
But yeah, let me get into it before I get into the rest of yours. Sorry, people. I promise I will get into them because I just don't want to give my answers away too much. But Caicedo initially, I would. And I've had a look at this market right now, and the market value is based upon the selling club and how much the buying club is willing to pay. It's hard to get value. You can get value in the market, but if you're trying to buy off other Premier League clubs, it's going to be very difficult. And Caicedo, the money, more than 60 million, it's more than his market value. It's already double his market value. But guess what, guys? I really do like this player. And if Arsenal managed to land him, if we did, it's a big if at this moment in time. So I'm not going to elaborate on too much. I think he would be a brilliant addition because the best thing about Caicedo is he doesn't just cover one position. He's not a specialist midfielder. He's two. This is why it would work with a Caicedo and a Rice because they're quite similar in that aspect where they can do both roles.
Play 8 and 6,
8 and 6. I think that's so important. And in how Arteta's trying to build this team, we don't just have a defensive midfielder, a number 6. We have someone who is able. Thomas Partey, when he came to Arsenal, when Arteta signed him, he wasn't a 6, guys. He was an 8 who was very good at doing 6 duties. And that's exactly what Caicedo is.
Even our goalkeeper's got the passing of a midfielder.
6, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. And with Caicedo, and even throughout his career, he's always been a highly rated player. Manchester United were linked with him, and it was thanks for Manchester United being Manchester United. They didn't get him. He's been one of the best talents to come out of South America in Caicedo. He's got more international caps than he actually has Premier League appearances. That's the best part about it. But he chose Brighton. He got that move, and he's really asserted himself. And I think that Moises Caicedo is that Kante-like player who actually, I'm not saying he's better than Kante because Kante's had a wonderful career. Exactly. If you're talking about his player profile, actually has more because his passing ability is very good, which is why he can play in the 8, and which is why I think eventually he's not just. I'm not. It's
I think his goal tally is
term.
better than Kante's as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it might be definitely in terms of his like goals to game. It would be
goal contributions,
But also, I think Caicedo could potentially be the long-term replacement for a Xhaka as well, in that aspect. And I don't want us to make the same mistake as Liverpool in neglecting our midfield because they're doing the job now. And as soon as the legs go or Partey starts picking up injuries or Xhaka isn't quite at the same level of fitness and the body that he's holding right now, we might, and we might then struggle, and I don't want us to go down that route. So we can
fix it before it needs fixing. I don't get me wrong. I rate Caicedo. I'm not saying I don't rate him. I'm just. It's just the way that I think our fan base is looking at it. Is he like I said, he's insurance. He's coming in as insurance, and I think paying more than 60 million for insurance on a player. Because what if he comes in and he's the one that gets injured? You know what I mean? There's no guarantees in anything.
Yeah,
So,
but that's every single transfer. Though.
Yeah, exactly.
Every
That's what I'm
single
saying.
one.
But I hear what you're saying, and I agree with that, and I do think he's one for the future.
I don't think he's just for the future, though. I think he's also here.
No, I don't mean just for the future.
Yeah,
but he is in the respect that he's not going to take Partey's place or Xhaka's place straight away. That's what I mean. He's one for the future.
And what else I was also going to say was, do you know, paying that money for a Caicedo, it's not like paying that money for a certain player at a higher level because the wages is on. And in terms of that, the whole package, guys, this is why I'm making sense of it now. And this is something that I've had to research. And when I initially saw it, I was very much out of favor of why we're paying that much for a Caicedo. When literally the money that he's on is the pittance. And it's the same for Mudryk as well, which is why I think Chelsea made a good deal in getting him, because long term, what you're paying for him is worth it because of the whole package. If you say, for example, if we sign like Gabriel Jesus, right, we signed him for what, 50 million and what, 200 grand a week?
45 million.
45 to 50. I think there was add-ons on there as well. So 45 million with his 200 grand a week. And let's say it's on a 5-year contract. You're paying more than that, more for him than you would for a Caicedo, who could be an 85 million on 40 grand a week on a 5-year contract.
The wages are going to jump. They're not going to stay at 200 grand a week.
No, exactly that. So, and then if you bring in a Caicedo on a 5-year contract or 6-year with a 40 grand a week, and that is more than 100% increase, more than doubling, way more than doubling, almost quadrupling his wages, more than that, 10 times in his wages, because he's on like 3K a week, isn't he? Something
something similar.
Even if it's on 16, whatever it is, it's going to be more than double his actual wage. The whole package makes sense, and the age that you're buying him at, and everything. I think
sell-on value, ceiling, everything.
Is that high. And Arsenal, we're more than willing to make risks on players and overpay, like we did with Ben White initially, like we did with Ramsdale initially. You're paying above their market value at the time, because you see the potential and you see the character and you see the characteristics they can bring to your team. So that's why I'm not against Arsenal doing it.
Also, what brings that to my mind with Caicedo, yes, he's doing brilliantly in this Brighton side. And I know it's going to sound as disrespectful, I'm not meant that way, but he's coming from a Brighton side that are punching above their weight and looking to get into Europe. To come into a side going for the title, different pressure. Against City, it's a different pressure. Sometimes man can go into their shell, even though they've made that big step up, and it's a different pressure.
Let me. This is what I'm gonna say though. This is what I'm gonna say. My counter argument. Okay. You're talking about a South American, right, who's come from a house of 10, a family of 10, with all the pressure upon him in making sure that their food's got to be put on the table. This is why I love South American footballers.
Yeah, I hear that.
Winning the Premier League ain't pressure to them.
No. And it's fair. Yeah, it's fair enough. And it's true. Yeah, you got that. That's a good
Gabriel
point.
Jesus has said it. Yeah. Edison said it. What, playing football? What mean getting strikers running? That means pressure. How about worrying about your family getting killed? I know it's mad deep and stuff. But South American, then they're not. This is where when talking about mentality of English players again, and we kind of spoke about this after the World Cup, but this is why South Americans do what they do, and they exceed at the game, because they don't feel that. And they don't have that fear, and that's what I like. I don't players like that. That's why Caicedo's been able to come into the Premier League and take it with both hands, and we've seen it with, and that's why he's hit the ground running, and that's why I have confidence. And Arteta knows.
And like I said, it was just a slight doubt with me, because the dynamics are different. But I mean, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here. I'm not in no way or shape or form am I saying that I don't want Caicedo. I'm just kind of keeping it in perspective about if we don't get him, because again, we've just come out of a situation very similar with Mudryk, and everybody's like, it's Mudryk or nothing, and that's the man. That's the only man we're gonna get, and we didn't get him, and then he's like, okay. right, that's the title gone. And then we're bringing Trossard, and like Trossard is a better fit for us now anyway.
Yeah, but this is it now. This is where my thing is. When you're talking about the club, if we don't get him, I'm not actually too happy with the club in terms of how they've done this because, right, Brighton have made their stance clear.
Is that if we don't get anybody else, or if we just don't get anybody?
No, if we don't get anybody, then that's the club have made a massive failure of that situation, not the whole transfer window.
No, just talking this situation.
Because Brighton have been adamant in their stance. I understand why the club are doing it, and if they get him, you know, I'm going to applaud the club because they knew what they were doing. They knew everything that was happening on the inside, and they had a plan.
I mean, imagine if we were Brighton, if we were in Brighton's situation now, our fan base would be going wicked. Yeah, get as much money as you can, rinse them. So exactly. you can't cuss Brighton at all.
That's why I'm not looking at them, and that's what I'm looking at what we're doing. And if we put all this time and effort into trying to convince Brighton to sell him, and they still don't budge, that's wasted a lot of time. And then the alternatives, as long as the club are doing the right thing if you're trying for your number one targets, I'm happy with that. But then you get an alternative in. That's fine, as long as you're not spending ridiculous amounts of time trying to get plan A and then that failing and you're left with nothing, which is essentially what we did in the summer with that Douglas Luiz situation. So I'm hoping that we've learned our lesson because we've been amazing. But this is it, Will. We have been amazing, of course, but we're not perfect. And there's always areas that we've and even our recruitment that we could have developing, and that's what I want to see is that development in that there. And I've had this debate on Twitter as well. But what was you going to say?
I'm going to drop something into you there. It all depends. I know where everybody's focused on this Caicedo deal. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's the only deal Arsenal are going for, because you saw how quickly the Trossard thing moved. Yeah, after the Madrid. Yeah, that showed that it wasn't. Everybody was, I said this in the chat, like when a magician's got you looking over here, you're looking over here and the magic's happening over here somewhere. That's kind of, you don't know if that's what Arsenal are doing. Because all we're focused on is Caicedo, and the monies and whatever. Yeah. And I did say to you that we in this transfer window, there was going to be a sneaky backdoor out of where did that one come from? And that was, Kivo. So don't think that they might not have that alternative. And you're right. If we don't get Caicedo and the window shuts and we don't get anybody in this situation, it's a bad move. But don't discount the fact that there's someone right around the corner that everybody's not looking at because they're looking at the Caicedo deal.
I'm not. That's what I'm not doing. That's why I said in that scenario, if we and this is where I want to link on into Jorginho, because this is my thoughts on Jorginho. If we don't get Caicedo, best believe I'm happy with bringing in Jorginho, because if you're telling me, guys, that you'd rather have no one than Jorginho. No. Then I'm sorry, but then you're looking at that in a very emotional way because he plays for Chelsea. You're looking at the age and whatnot. But what I'm saying, and this is where I agree with Ibby now, with Jorginho, if you're bringing him in, it has the terms has to be 2-year deal. It has to be that. It can't be really any longer, maybe with an extra option for us if we want to renew, and if he has a good 2 years of it and maybe make some money back on it, a bit like Barcelona. But what
he needs to perform. He needs to perform.
He needs to perform, but this is where Peony's been saying it in the chat also, and we've got plenty of other people, but we'll get into yours as well. I want to hear what you're saying. But just the final thing on Jorginho, you're bringing in experience. He's got a winning mentality. He has won trophies. He has won the big time. He has also been, and he's also stepped up in these difficult environments. Let's not, and it's all because when we're thinking about Chelsea and thinking about them now,
that colours thing. It does for me. It does for me. I'm thinking Chelsea rejects, but
exactly. Remember the way we thought about Granit Xhaka 2 years ago when we were sitting in 8th. And when Chelsea were lifting up big ears, Champions Leagues with, you know, Jorginho's there, lifting that, getting third in the Ballon d'Or, lifting up Euros. Guys, football is a wonderful, a beautiful game. I would take Jorginho in a situation where, you know what, we've exhausted our options. I'd rather take a Jorginho than overpay for I'm not saying in this guy in particular, but an Onana, who isn't quite at the level.
Isn't a winner, hasn't got the experience, hasn't been there, done it, and can add that experience to this side. My only concern is, would Chelsea sell him to us?
I think in the situation that they're in and how they're trying to get rid of players and the money that they might need to even make to, you know, for the Enzo Fernandez deal, and that's where I think that's the big factor in this. Is they will. I think they will need to make some room and sell, and I think they won't be reluctant to do so on a player that's running down 6 months on his contract. If we put a £15 million bid on someone that will literally after in 24 hours time will be going for free, I think you. Get that.
I mean, the more we talk about it, the more I take off my chill scum head and it makes sense. Had we not had Willian, I'd be more into this. You know what I mean? Because it's just I'm trying not to go. It's another Chelsea region. Why are they getting rid of him? When you're buying a car, second-hand car, and it's like it looks crisp.
Yeah,
it's a Maserati or something. It's like, why is this brother getting rid of this Maserati, man? It looks wicked, it sounds nice, and all the rest of it. But you get around the corner and the engine falls out. That's what I'm worried about. But bringing someone like Jorginho's experience in this running now, would make sense if as an alternative.
Yeah,
and it's not gonna impact bringing in Rice in the summer or.
This is Peony. This is my comment. I was literally waiting for it, but you said it before me. When you was talking about Willian here, this is what I'm saying. The situation at Arsenal Football Club is completely different to when we.
I was actually gonna say if we hadn't have been going for the title,
guarantee you, if Willian came to this Arsenal team, different.
Well, if he come to this Arsenal team like he's now at Fulham,
yes, that's a fact. This is it, man. We forget about these factors as football fans at times. This is why I was. And guys, I may seem a genius now with Granit Xhaka. This is why I was always like, the team's awful. I'm not blaming Granit Xhaka. When every manager picks him and every manager is making him captain, let's not get fixated.
But that as I've always said, that was what used to anger me about Xhaka, because these men see something in him. That I saw the player in there, but the foolishness, doing the foolishness all the time. If he was crap, that foolishness wouldn't bother me, because like Kolasinac and them kind of man, I couldn't get angry at them because they just not at that level.
But what I'm saying is, in terms of this, is like, guys, you know, when we talk about Pogba and Ozil players, the team weren't built for them. The team wasn't built for a Willian. We weren't built to accommodate a Willian. That's why that was a mistake. Whereas if we put a Jorginho now, as Peony also says in here, we aren't Jorginho won't bring us down. He'll actually He'll actually. He's another leader, and I think someone of his age, and for someone that he's had a very good career, Jorginho, credit to him, of his age, will actually help, and it will actually be a benefit, rather than him being in that Chelsea scenario where they aren't built around him and they don't have these weaknesses ironed out, and they have such a mishmash of players. He's never going to shine there. But when he did shine was when they did have a system that was working around.
And I
in the Ballon d'Or
again, as you're talking about it, I'm thinking about, you know, the later games, them last 10 games where it's tight and City may well be breathing down our neck. are highly likely that they will. He will keep that dressing room calm. He will keep him calm on the pitch. And there is an assuredness about him. And I'm even talking myself around to it now. As a backup, both in the transfer market and to Partey. And, there are certain games where you might even play the both of them.
I hear that. Exactly that. And Jorginho, do you know what? He's not the same. He's not even the same total profile of player to Caicedo. But what he is, someone who can not do what Partey does, but can go deeper, play the ball from there, and then also do it in the Xhaka area as well. Tezzy's comment here is, if we do have a Partey or Xhaka injury, then the quality of the backup could definitely affect our season, Peony. All I'm saying is that I can't believe that this is the best option out there. We've had 6 months to plan. And once again, I agree. And do you know where I agree with you is that this was a mistake that was made in the summer. That's where I'd say. But I think it's bringing in a Jorginho is the best option in the January, because January transfer window is the hardest window. It's the
horrible.
Worst.
Nobody wants to let go of anybody, and if they do, they want stinking money. But I mean, you talk about 6 month plan, and we all talk about they should have planned for this and should have planned for that. What did Tyson say? Everybody's got a plan so they get punched in the mouth. We had a plan to bring in. I keep going back to it, Mudryk and all these other people. Everybody else is, because of where we are now, the pool that we're fishing in, it's elite level. So everybody's gonna want them. We're not buying rubbish players. So different factors will come into play. In the summer, just
on that Mudryk one quickly. That was a mistake made in the summer. Not buying him then.
Oh yeah, okay, I get that, but I was just going to go on to say, I don't think anybody thought that we were going to be in this position, because the fact that we're in the position that we're in is a game changer. It's an absolute game changer, because we've suddenly become a little bit more desperate for players that we could have waited for summer. If we were just say we was on 45 points now. Yeah, and City was on the 50. We would be looking at it as like, let's just keep in the top 4 spot. But the fact that we're leading the race, the fact that we got title lights in our eyes, that means all these things, like, it's stepping up. Because I'm sorry, Luke, but we're ahead of schedule. We are so far ahead of schedule. By a good 2 years, easily by a good 2-3 years. So, it means that we're having to bring everything forward. We're having to change plans. All them plans that we made in the summer, all the plans that we made for next summer, it all automatically changes, because everybody's talking about it. We need to start bringing in players that are gonna not let this opportunity slip. Yeah, where the plans in the summer was top 4. Yeah, we weren't letting anything slip. We were trying to move on from have been one win away from Champions League last season to being pretty much assured of it this season, through the fact of we went, you know what, we're not leaving it in the lap of the gods come the end of the season. We're securing top 4 as soon as possible. What actually turned out to be went mute there. So what it actually turned out to be is that this run is so mad that we're top of the league, and we need to consolidate. And we I know we focus on Partey, and because Partey's been brilliant and he's just the bad boy, but a Ramsdale injury or a Saliba or a Gabriel injury, actually no, they're not so much, but more like a Ramsdale injury, and this is no slight on Turner. He's good, but he's nowhere near as good as Ramsdale. Otherwise, he'd be first team big. But yeah, it's a worry and it scares us. But Partey's been injury free. I said to you last season, once his body got adjusted to this.
But this is it though. We're not even into the stage of the season where we would have to play Partey twice a week yet. We're not even at that stage. There will be a stage where we'll have to do that, and that we're halfway through the season. And when we got the Europa League, and all of us want to win the Europa League, I'm sure we can say that, where we can't have the level dropping. We need to be rotating.
100%. But that's what I'm saying to you. The game state's changed.
But yeah, and this is what I'm saying in terms of even other players. So like Peony says here, Mudryk, he wasn't hot property in the summer. He wasn't. Good point. But guess what, Peony? We were interested then, but we didn't invest then. We thought
we didn't see enough. Remember, we didn't see enough because a lot of what's jumped up Mudryk's profile was the Champions League performances this season.
Yeah, but Arsenal definitely saw enough to be interested. Remember the issue? Do you remember the issue was? It was when El Nene and Partey got injured. We was after a winger. Mudryk was one of them that we was reported interest in.
Yeah,
but we switched our attentions to a midfielder. That's what we did. But this is it. We've done so. Literally, what we did was we switched our attention. I'm not like this is why it was a mistake then, because we switched our attentions to a midfielder. Didn't get that completed and also missed out on a Mudryk.
On Mudryk. You know
So that's where you've made the mistake in that situation.
And that's inexperience. That's inexperience.
Yeah, and that's what I think we've learned from. We learned from the Mudryk situation where we chased him, but we also had our backup in Trossard, and that's where we've learned. And this is where I think, and this is why I'm giving Arsenal credit. If it is true about Jorginho, we don't get a Caicedo, but we get in a Jorginho, I'm taking that because of what we're talking about in terms of the player. He's not a Caicedo, but in the short term, he's going to have an impact just like a Trossard can. The squad now can absorb, these are Arteta's words himself, we can absorb an experienced player, a player in his late 20s, early 30s. And the difference here, Luke, is when you said here about the past Chelsea players in terms of Gallas, Cech, Luiz, Willian. Well, guess what? I can throw you an Olivier Giroud and what happened there because of the environment. The environment at Arsenal wasn't built to win. It was a comfortable place. It was where we was just focused on getting the top four. And then when we gave them players, because their environment was different at that time, they were built to win. We give him Giroud, who's worse than Aubameyang, and he goes and becomes more successful at Chelsea than he did at Arsenal. And that's because I think you take Jorginho out of that environment in a worse team where he's not performing well. You put him in ours.
I again, as we discuss it, and I look at it with open minds, our situation, the difference to our situation in 6 months or however long. It's not even 6 months yet. Since the seasons began, and it makes sense. I think there might be one or two ahead of him in what we're after, but it wouldn't be a dumb move by Arteta and Edu to bring in a Jorginho on a very short-term contract, like a 2-year. With an option, because remember, not that long ago, and I'm talking this season, wouldn't they talk about him and Barcelona or one of them sides there? If they're looking at these kind of guys, and also his age profile makes it look bad as well, because he's late 20s, early 30s, something like that. But if the man is attracting attention from Barcelona and stuff, and they only buy finished articles. They only buy finished articles. It can't be such a bad deal. And if you're talking about Prem proven, there's no more Prem proven than Jorginho out of all these midfielders that we're linked with.
Exactly. It's true, man. So that's why I'm not bad on the Jorginho thing. That's the big point I'd say, guys. Just to summarize on that, the environment is different now to when we took a Willian, to when we took a Czech, to when we took a Louise.
I'd see. I don't put Louise as a flop.
No, he's not a flop, but like
take us the others, I'd say so. Czech, but David Luiz because of what because there's so much that he brought behind the scenes that we're reaping the benefits for now. Because you heard ESR, Saka, all them band there, even Nketiah talking about what he gave them while he was at the club.
Yeah.
So don't underestimate that. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, exactly. And that could be a Jorginho. We're talking about a Patino. I don't think Patino's too far stylistically off of Jorginho, guys. If Patino came back, he'd definitely learn a lot from him. And do you know what I like about even players like Jorginho? The final thing is they're thinkers. If you've got players in midfield I like players who aren't as athletic. Do you know why? Because if you're not as athletic, you have to think a lot more. You're not relying on your pace. You're not relying on your physicality. Who was a perfect example of that? Gaffer in Mikel Arteta. He wasn't one of his weaknesses was his lack of physicality and athleticism in the middle, which is why he wasn't a Thomas Partey and why we had to pair him up with the Coquelin in there when Cazorla was there.
Berbatov, even someone I can't stand, Terry Sheringham.
But
brother is slow, but what a brain.
But even with like a Berbatov and a Cazorla, right, they were technically out of this world. So Jorginho's not technically out of this world. He's very good technically.
He's not bad.
No, he's not bad, of course, and neither was Arteta. But they were special, like technical players. Whereas they had things that you can't teach. Like that's just God-given talent. Whereas these players Arteta had the career he did because he was a thinker and of his work ethic. Jorginho, same thing there. And man, that's why I like these players. And if we can't get a Caicedo win, Jorginho,
I'd take Jorginho over nothing. Put it that way, definitely take Jorginho over nothing.
Yeah, exactly. But what the final thing that we'll talk about, guys, before we do that, actually, let's get through to your comments. Plenty.
Yeah, there's enough to see.
And I've loved it. I've loved the chat. I've been reading them whilst we were chatting, but I'm going to bring them up and we'll get replying to them as well because it's been very good. And if there is any news, guys, please chuck it in and we'll break through because it's been a great debate, Joe. I'm glad I've enjoyed it so far, and I hope you guys have had too. And Tezzy made that comment earlier about being ahead of schedule. Yeah, and that's where Will spoke about that there. And we are ahead of schedule. And the best thing is, Tezzy, is to be proactive, not reactive.
I've loved this show because it's been fiery. Go on. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. I heard you putting on the gas. Is that fiery?
Yeah, man.
Ahead of schedule, Moss says, but don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Is that a saying?
Yeah. Okay. Looking at gift horses in the mouth is like you're turning your nose up to a gift. Yeah. Similar sort of thing.
Oh,
like if you're given a gift and you're going, it's for free, I don't want it. That kind of thing, and it's could be a brand new car.
Take advantage, punch down the door, and win a title. Agree. Spot on, Moss. Definitely agree.
Surprisingly, you've never heard that. Ask your mum.
I've never heard that one. Yeah.
It's an old one. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And last Jan, nothing, and still a C centre mid needed.
Yeah.
Moss, agree. We needed a mid.
Yeah.
And we were linked with Arthur at that point and whatnot, and we didn't take that risk. And that one paid off, but we got to take that risk now. We have to.
Yeah. I think we do. But that's what I'm saying to you. It's because of our situation is different now. We're having to take that risk.
Yeah, exactly. We are having to take that risk. And if we don't, in football, Liverpool never thought, well, Peeny did. Big up Peeny.
Yeah.
He thought
he did.
But a lot of Liverpool fans wouldn't have thought they'd be in the situation that they're in now. Of course, even Man City, like even into the summer, they wouldn't have thought that we'd be above them right now. But
again, with the Liverpool situation, it was because they went so deep with all four. Yeah, that's why they didn't they thought, okay, I don't think they said it's that thing where, yeah, we'll go for all four. But when it actually starts to become a reality and it starts to put the pressure on your team and you're kind of, wow, actually, we could get this. So we need to change up things. And by that time, it's too late to buy.
The physical and mental strain that put on them and their squad was ridiculous. And look at you're seeing the results of it now. Giroud went from us to them, same as Cesc. We took Luis and Willian. Was a horror show because of the.
To be fair, Cesc went via Barcelona.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
But I think we refused him. We had like
we did. We did because it was in the contract. That they had to offer him to us first. But Wenger came out and said he doesn't like taking players back. He never liked taking players back, and also he didn't want to stunt Ramsey and would have been Wilshere's development back then.
And there you go. But yeah, the Luis and Willian thing, they weren't ready. They weren't the right characters we needed. We tried to patch up, we tried to paper over the cracks in that sense, and it didn't work, and it only created more problems. Eventually, in terms of the squad and that, it created more problems because they were on big wages too. Those types of players. Apini agreeing with me there. I think that was in terms of that environment part. Big with yourself, PD. I had seen lots. I'd seen enough to know that we should have signed both Caicedo and Mudryk in the summer. Lots of us had. To be fair with Caicedo, it was that he only had half a season at that point, but very good.
What I mean,
season.
It was, but it's
this is it though. Like,
but with both of them, because they've only really blown up this season. And nobody could have predicted that. You would have said, okay, they got potential, but it was Mudryk showing in the Champions League. That is what allowed Shakhtar to stick that stupid price tag on him. Because if he had just been okay in the Champions League, they wouldn't have been able to demand that kind of money. So saying you saw it in before the season started, nobody did. Nobody. I don't even think Brighton did.
I don't know. You know, I disagree because once again, Caicedo was very highly rated before he went to Brighton. Anyway, he had Barcelona, Man United, and that all. He had top European clubs after him. But the reason he chose Brighton was for first team football. And Mudryk, we were in Brentford. He rejected Brentford. Brentford wanted him, and we know what Brentford have done. And Arsenal, it's not like we haven't been. It's not like we haven't been in a situation where we don't want to take on these types of players. We took on Sambi Lokonga, who barely really showed anything. The Nuno Tavares, who had no minutes of first team football. And I know that was last season and whatnot, but these are world-class talents. And they're not world-class players, but the talents that they're at. And we even did it with Ødegaard. He was a world-class talent, and
it shows. You win some, you lose some. Sometimes you get it right, sometimes you get it wrong, and there's no hard and fast. Hindsight is a beautiful thing. So with hindsight now, you can say, we could see it in Modric and Caicedo and all the rest of it. But when you're having to pick 2 out of 5. Or 1 out of 2 players, and you kind of let's wait and see, because a team like Arsenal can wait and see because we the top 6 can wait and see because we got the firepower, financial firepower to come in and blow people out of the water. But that's what we're thinking. So then we're more inclined to sit and wait.
But then this is where I was saying now, if we, there's no problem sitting and waiting, but you have to be willing to spend. And you know what you're doing? You're competing with Chelsea when you're doing that.
But that's okay, bro. I heard Harry say this, but this is what I'm saying to you, because it's kind of like 2 tiers in the top 6. So you've got Chelsea and Man City, and probably now Newcastle. Then you've got the likes of us, Spuds, Liverpool. They're in the next bracket down. So we need to watch. We can't spend like they spend. We have to think. It's okay. It's like
that's
you know
why
when
we
a good example. You know Ryan Reynolds and the other guy Rob McEnally. One's a movie star and one's a television star. They both got coin, but one's got more coin than the other. One can go buy a little bit more than the other. That's kind of what it's like. So when people say, "Oh, just go and pay the money," then it might be further down the line the one that we really want, we can't afford because price tag is going to jump up and whatever. So it's not always a case of like just go spend the money. Yeah, because there's a plan, because there's a budget to that plan, and there's a lot of numbers need to be changed and turned around. And okay, Moss would know better than me, but there's a lot of rejigging that you have to do if you spend out them big monies.
But this is it now. This is what I'm saying, right? Wilf, we're not on the same table anymore as we were even a year ago, right? We're trying to compete for the best talents in the world. Let's be honest, as Arsenal fans, we're not looking at Bellingham because we know we can't. No. But this is it. But do we want to be at that table? And the best way to get at that table, you get Bellingham when he's at a Birmingham City, because he was already one of the best.
Exactly. Yeah, I know.
And that's where Mudryk and Caicedo were in 6 months ago. They were. I hear what you're saying. If you wait that time, then if you wait and you want to see more of them, and if they become that, you better know Chelsea, Man City, Man United are circling around them as well.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
But also, okay, I'll put it another way, right? So, yes, in the summer we could have got Modric, but they were looking at, okay, Martinelli and ESR are going to play on that left-hand side. ESR has been injured for so long that it changed. The window's gone because they're thinking, right, so we can have 3 players on that left-hand side. One of them's going to be, he's not going to play. He's not going to be playing. And then all of a sudden we're in a title challenge and the window of opportunity has gone because of the situation has changed. And had we known what we knew back then, we would have gone and got Caicedo and Mudryk straight away. And it's again with hindsight.
But this is it. Like we it's not just that. We were interested in a winger at that point and a midfielder, and we didn't take that risk then. That's what I'm saying. So if you're willing to wait, Arsenal, you have, like, this is why I don't mind. If we spend 85 million on Caicedo and we get him through the door, I ain't complaining. And I don't want to hear no Arsenal fan do it, because if you want these top talents, you are going to overpay at some points.
Yeah.
You are going to. Trust me.
Unless you get him in easy, unless you get him in early.
If you bring in Bellingham, you're overpaying for what you're getting right now, because Bellingham, or how great he is, 150 million compared to, Ronaldo was 80 million, Bale was 80 million. You're paying double that. Yeah, he ain't that. But in today's market, when Enzo Fernandez is going for 105 million after 6 months himself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The markets, it's a different ball game.
But it's that Premier League tax. You know what I mean? Because they know we've got the money, because we keep flashing it. What did I read in the papers there? 20 billion in 5 years or something silly like that. Yeah. Because they know we've got the cash. They say it's almost like they just go 100 million, not really thinking that they're going to get anywhere near that. And then they realize, wow, this man's willing to pay that kind of money. So everybody starts doing it. And when they realize, and people, teams like Chelsea, when they will pay them silly monies, going, oh boy, I don't care. It makes them think, well, all of the Premier League teams got money.
Yeah. I hear that. Tezzy, in terms of this question here, I have a question, Tereak Talks. Do you sometimes bring other subscribers onto the show asking for a friend? Of course, the platform is always open. Indeed, Tezzy. Yeah, definitely for sure.
Yeah, but I've got a clause in my contract on I have to sign off on. Yeah, I have to vet them first. Yeah, just I don't just go on with anybody. You know what I mean? That's why King ain't here no more. I got rid of him.
Always welcome. You definitely for sure. And if it is for yourself, or is if it's for a friend, as you said.
For a friend.
Always welcome. Yeah, exactly. For a friend. Yeah, definitely, Tezzy, always welcome. That goes for anyone else in here too. You know how it is, people. I've got a lot of love for you. And even if you don't want to show your face, but you want to get your thoughts and opinions out there, you know, the opportunity is always there. Drop me a message and we'll do it. Exactly. Yes, you'll go on soon, Peony. Nico, or not, sorry, Peony, sorry. It's Nico Peony.
Yeah, Nico Peony. Nico Peony.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. But yeah, I also hear what you're saying here. But isn't that what we're trying to do with the likes of Vieira and Kivior? Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. But that's
Thank you, Tezzy.
But she's proving my point. That's what we need to do.
But the thing is, you can't do that with so many, because that's two others that we would have had. That if ESR, because you're taking a risk then, because it's like, so we would have, and bear in mind he said that he didn't want a bloated squad.
Yeah.
Speaking of the devil, my man. Remember, we said at the beginning of the season that we didn't want a bloated squad. So the risk, they were taking a calculated risk, saying, okay, we're probably not going to need Caicedo and Mudryk, because we'll get top four, but Europa will be the competition that we'll be.
I'm not even talking about those in particular, right? I'm saying in terms, this is how Arsenal. They have to operate from the future, from now until the future. If you're willing to put down big money for these big players, then that's fine. But if you're not, and you can't go halfway house about it, you either go all the way in, or you keep, or what you need to do is focus.
But that's the thing. We're playing in the market where we have to do a bit of both. We have to get players like your Vieiras and your Kiviors, and at the same time still be, when an elite comes along, be able to pay a big money for one or two, like Liverpool, because Liverpool paid for Alisson and they paid for Van Dijk,
and they overpaid,
but that was all they had to that was all they could do, and that was over 2 seasons. They had to do that. So they had to let. Hence the reason why they were relying on their midfield for so long, because they've overspent. So it meant they can't.
I'm not gonna lie. I hope we don't operate like Liverpool, because
no. I'm not saying we are. I'm not saying we are. But do you see the dangers of it?
But
of operating like that.
The dangers of Liverpool have been exposed, because what they have done, they didn't overpay after that though. What they did was they made them that decision. Then they won their trophies. They built them completely around that, and they didn't go on top of that. And they didn't do it because their owners weren't willing to go above and beyond again.
I think they just were bought in the wrong areas. Because
that money that they spent wasn't generated through the owners. It was generated.
No. I'm not talking about the money. I'm just talking. One of the reasons why Liverpool are in the situation that they're in is because they bought in the wrong areas. Like, they bought a whole heap. They got rid of Mane, which I think that was one of the worst things they could have done, because he was actually the thing. I know he wanted to leave. But they're buying Nunez and Gakpo, and where they got Diaz and whatever. They're buying all forwards. They needed to buy midfielders. They kind of did what we did. I know. But this is I hear what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying, because do you know the issue they did? That who did they want? King, big up yourself, my bro. Who did they want in the summer? Who was it they wanted that went to Real Madrid?
Too many. They wanted him, but they weren't willing to overpay for him.
Well, how much did
But the problem with Liverpool as well,
go for? How much did he go for?
85 million.
Right.
85 million. And
then
they
he
wanted to
faced
pay like 70.
Yeah. And
So,
then,
but for me, in regards to Arsenal, and you know me, I've backed Edu and guys a lot. But one of the criticism is that some of the deals has cost us because of him as well. Because I do think that, for example, last January, if we would have gone and got Bruno Guimaraes, for example, we would not have been in this situation right now, because we've needed bodies, quality players in midfield for a long time. And this is like the third window straight that we haven't been able to adjust that. And when you don't do that, in the end, that's where you get into these Williams and these Jorginhos and this, you have to extend an Aubameyang. And we don't want to be in that kind of situation again, where we are signing players that are past their best for a short-term solution. And I do think that sometimes, this doesn't mean that he needs to get sacked, but it means that also he kind of needs to step up his game, because we did have the opportunity to sign players we weren't going to overpay for, who could have done an impact for the club, but he failed to do that. And this is where you can be like, okay, question has to also be asked: why didn't we get Bruno Guimaraes? Why didn't we get Danilo? Why didn't we get Tielemans? These are players who it wouldn't have cost us a 70 or 60 or even 50 million. I think Bruno went for like 35 or 38 million to Newcastle, and he was someone who could have played Partey or the Xhaka role, even Odegaard.
Okay, I got something for you on that one then. I've got something because the players you mentioned, right? So you mentioned Guimaraes.
Yeah.
Who else did you mention?
Danilo.
Danilo. Right.
And
Guimaraes didn't want to come to
Tielemans.
us.
No,
right.
he did.
Guimaraes.
No. He wanted to come. No. The thing is, he wanted to come. Even his agent was flirting with us. We just wanted to focus on Vlahovic.
That's why.
Yeah. I disagree.
No, do you remember when he came in and Newcastle did the whole?
But it's kind of documented that he really wanted to join Arsenal, and that's why he was kind of bitter.
If Danilo's going to, but Danilo's ended up at Nottingham Forest. That means that they didn't see him as quality enough for us. Yeah, so there are other factors.
What I heard, and obviously we can't take it as fact, but what I've heard is that we were really interested in Danilo, but Edu wanted to focus, and all his focus was on Mudryk deal, because he really wanted to land Mudryk. So Danilo kind of slipped, and he went to Forest.
So, but you're not going to tell me. You're not going to tell me that if we'd gone back in up against Forest to get Danilo, we wouldn't have got him.
We would have, but
you're going to stand there and
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but and this is what I'm saying is, I don't think we went for Danilo because we didn't challenge Forest for the Danilo signing. I think that was all paper speculation. We looked at him and went, he ain't up to the standard that we need right now.
But then this is where
I don't know. We've scouted him for what a year.
Exactly.
And this is where, as King, what was it? Carry on, bro. What was you going to say?
What I'm trying to say, Will, is that sometimes, with Edu, you just have to understand that the market will not bend for you. So you might need to step up and do something that maybe you don't want to do, but sometimes you have to, because in the end, when you don't, longer term, it haunts you. And this is what I'm saying. This is why I'm saying that, let's say we end up with a Jorginho. That's because we failed to address the midfield. It's not Jorginho. You can't tell me that for all this plan we've been planning for, Jorginho was the one we wanted to get. Jorginho is just like a short-term option because we failed to get our long-term options. That's what I'm saying. And we shouldn't be in that situation where we are now on the up. You know, we're doing so well as a club, and we are an attractive club. So we should be able to get better deals than Jorginho. That's my point.
Yeah,
and at
yeah,
some
we
point,
can. But you also got to remember the Chelsea
because
fans.
I'm sure if I told you last month, I'm sure if I told you last month we're gonna go and get Jorginho, you would have said, "Nah, I don't want Jorginho."
You said it today.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, I said it today. But what I'm saying to you is, like, okay, it's not
Like
you
the
have
thing
to
is
take
this,
into
yeah.
account.
We're not perfect.
Yeah,
we do a lot of things good, yeah. So, for example, the player contracts, we've been excellent, spot on. Like we are getting it done, and we're getting it on good money and long term.
Yeah,
I can't fault him on player contract.
yeah.
And I
Playing
think
football,
some of the
top of
players
league.
that
Yeah,
we
we're doing that right.
bought, like some of the players that we bought, we've really been spot on. But you know, we're not perfect, and nobody's perfect. But I do think we can be better at buying players.
Yeah, I agree.
I do think that,
and we will get better. We will get better. I mean, you got to remember that.
But the thing is,
this is
new.
This is new territory for us because we're not. It's been how many years has it been? It's 2004 since we last won the title. With everything happening so fast, we're having to learn fast. So the faster you learn, the more mistakes you will make. Yeah, it comes with the territory. You is young, so you don't really. The faster you move, the more mistakes you will make.
Well, what I'll say is, Wilf, and this is what King is saying, this isn't a mistake that we've just made recently. This is a mistake that we actually made last January. And we didn't address.
I disagree. It's a different thing last January because we were streamlining. We were going for the big. We were going for the big signings in the summer because we've already stated the January window is the hardest one to buy, and it's the hardest one to buy quality because you're going to be overpaying. Now, last January we had.
That's why we bringing.
Wait. Last January, we had just got rid of. We just cleared the decks of all the rubbish, the rotten, crap, and everything else. We just got rid of it. So we had a war chest that was there for summer, and we reset and start again. If we had overpaid for certain players that weren't of the quality, it would have affected that the summer window. We might not have got a Jesus. We might not have got a Zinchenko. We might not have got a Vera. To certain things that something would have had to have gone. Yeah, that was a different time. We'd cleared the decks and we'd said, right, you know what? We cannot get the quality of player that we want in January, so we're not going to buy anyone, which I totally agree with, and I stand by the way we did it last season. Yeah, this January window is a whole different ball game because yes, we have more money, and B, it's not so much of a rebuild come the summer, but I go back again. The parameters have changed because we're going for the title. Nobody knew that we were going to go in for the title because if we weren't going for the title now, it wouldn't. I don't think all of this narrative would be going so hard about a midfielder because we would have enough.
I kind of disagree because do you know why I disagree? I'll give you 2 points. Number one,
because it's me.
That's the reason why we extended. The reason why we first of all extended with El Neni was that because number one, Sambi wasn't ready, and number two, we didn't get a midfielder in January, so we had to extend with El Neni because we were short on bodies. Yeah, so for me, that again shows me that we needed to sign a midfielder in that January window, or even the summer before. We could have signed a midfielder. Like we've needed midfielders. If you clock it. Since Arteta's joined, I think Partey is the only central midfielder that we've signed. You know, Odegaard is an attacking midfielder. Vieira is an attacking midfielder. But if you look at a deep lying midfielder, Partey is the only one we've signed. And this is why now we have a shortage of defensive midfielders or deep lying midfielders, whatever you want to call them. And this, for me, this is a position that is really important for Arteta. And this is why. And the way football is moving, if you miss out on one window, next window, it gets more expensive. So where last year, quality midfielders were 30, 40, 50 million, we can see now they are 70, 80, 90 to 100 million. And next summer, let's say that some of these clubs gets new owners like a Man United or Liverpool. The market is going to get more inflated and players are going to get more expensive. And it's going to be even harder to get the number one targets that you want. And this is why it's so important that, you know how Arteta always talk in press conference where he's saying that the club we can't afford to miss out on any opportunities in every window. And that's a bit of a dig to the recruitment. It's telling them that, listen, every window we have to maximize it, because he knows that we are not a Real Madrid or PSG or Man City or even a Chelsea now who have that kind of resources where, bam, too many, come here, 100 million. Oh, now I want Bellingham. Here's another 100 million. Oh, now I want Mbappe.
But even those clubs
million.
Even those clubs don't always get what they want, because look how many people was after Haaland.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, for example,
wait,
Arsenal,
on what you're saying, because it's like we cannot be successful with every person that we go after, because and the better that we get, the more in demand the players that we're going to be going after are going to be. So there are factors that are beyond our control when it comes to buying players. Yeah, we could have all the money in the world, yeah, and go, yeah, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. We want this player, we want that player. That player might have a family history where that with our rivals that he's never gonna go, or whatever it is. It could be. There's so many weird factors. His personality might not be right. They want to look at X, Y, and Z different factors. Not every player that we're going to go after are we going to get, even if we have the money. Yeah, because there will always be factors beyond our control, and sometimes you have to take that risk and wait and see. We got in a Vieira, we got in like when we brought in Tomiyasu, like when we brought in Ben White, and we have done that in the past, but we're not a team that can do that all the time. Sometimes we have to play and wait and see game.
But then this is what me and King are saying. To eat at a big boy table, you have to do it once every window at least. And this is where Arteta, right, in terms, and this is what he said. Do you know when he actually said that quote that King brought up? That was before last January window. And that was when we weren't competing for this title. And that's when he initially said it. And that's where he was let down. We have to be honest. And we have to be honest in that. We didn't get top four because we didn't take advantage in that window. And we didn't get a Bruno Guimaraes. He's definitely someone of the quality that would have improved our midfield. And he did even improve our midfield now.
So why didn't we get him then? Why didn't we get him? Because we weren't willing to pay the money that Leon wanted. We weren't willing to in the summer,
in January.
But again,
I think
we've always said is because he went to when did he go to Newcastle?
January.
Is it in the January? All right.
He went in the January window. So in the January window, it seems, one thing we do have to understand, sometimes, Edu and Arteta want different things or different targets or different players in when it comes to transfer. It's not always like, oh, I want this player. I also want that player. So I feel like Arteta really wanted Bruno Guimaraes. And there were reports that we were scouting. He wanted him even since he was in Brazil. So you remember? Arsenal has scouted him since then, because it was between Marie and Bruno Guimaraes, and that we could have bought because we didn't have money that window. So we went for Pablo Marie instead. Bruno went to Lyon, and then obviously he kept on improving to the point where Arteta really wanted him. But the thing was, we probably had a budget, and Edu wanted to focus all the budget on Vlahovic, obviously. And we couldn't get Vlahovic because he didn't want to come.
Yeah.
And then time doesn't wait for you. It's a cruel game. Time doesn't wait for you. And obviously, as a player, you can't just sit and wait and hope that, oh, will Arsenal buy me? Will they not buy me? Oh, they've not put in a bid. Okay. Oh, this team has put in a bid. Or they got a good project that I'm going there. And I feel like that's kind of what happened. And it's haunting us because at that window we didn't have a plan B of a midfielder. Come the summer as well, it was like, I don't know, for some reason we were not really focusing on a midfielder. It was like Tielemans' links were there, but we were not 100% sure. Do we want to buy him? Do we want to spend big? Do we want to wait? He was ready to come because he even put his house up on sale. That's also documented. But again, we didn't get him. And for me, it's like, okay, if you don't get him, get someone else in, because in the end, the problems, they don't disappear. And we can clearly see, as much as we like and we want Sambi Lokonga to become a great player for us, he's not mentally ready. And because he's not mentally ready, he's not performing on the pitch. And he probably needs to go on a loan since the summer to somewhere where there's less pressure and he can play week in and week out.
But this is always a risk.
Of course,
but this is always a risk.
That's my point. That's my whole point.
Yeah.
No, but you two just we were willing to need to take risks.
Yeah? Take them risks, man. The reason we're at this stage is because we took those risks. That's why
I'm not.
Yeah,
and some of them pay. That's what I'm saying to you. Some of them pays off. But look, you talk about Vlahovic.
But we need to continue to do it. That's the point.
Yeah, but
and we need to understand that.
There's some that we're going to win and some that we're going to lose. Look at the Vlahovic one. Prime example, yeah? If we had got him, we would be cussing right now, going, what did we buy this geezer for? We overpaid for, blah, blah, whatever. Because he not exactly a flop.
No.
But he's not ripped up any flowers
But then that's a whole different debate. That's obviously if you put one striker in a different environment, he's not always. It doesn't always mean it's the same thing that's going to happen, does it? Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm not saying it is.
Even look at Zinchenko, for example. He was a good player at Man City, even though they were amazing, but he wasn't amazing. But now that he's in our system, under our management, our coaching, he's a beast. Like it's levels.
I think he was amazing. I think he was amazing when he was at sea. So that's why I was so happy about him coming. But anyway, that's
But so for me, my point is that as much good things we've done, we also need to look in our eyes and say that we can do better and we should do better, especially where we are now.
100%,
and that's 100%. My whole point. Like, because it's just gonna get harder. Because Man United, if they sell the club and they get rich owners, there's another team there who's gonna splash money. If Liverpool get rich owners, that's again another team. If Newcastle start to get into the Champions League, they're not gonna continue buying players like Gordon and Dan Burn. They're gonna start going for the premium players. So
I don't disagree with that. And even if they don't get owners, right? Man United are coming strong next season because with Ten Hag, he's not a fool. He's not an idiot. He's a really good manager.
Yeah.
Newcastle, even if they don't spend ridiculous money, the Premier League over the next 3-4 seasons, maybe 5, is going to be the hardest it will ever have been because. Yeah, it is. It is in fact that. It is in fact that because a lot of the big 7 now, including Newcastle, they're all going to be trying to put together teams, and what it's going to come down to is it's not just going to be about money. It's going to be about the management, about the style of play, about the the system that's there. Will this person thrive in that system? And that's where it's going to be competitive. Because the thing about it is also it's how you sell the project. Yeah, it's how you sell the project to these players as well as the money.
Yeah. But then, look, guys, just conscious of time. We'll get through some of the comments. I hear what you're both saying. I do. And I think some guys in the comments, they agree and they disagree. So I think it'd be interesting to get through here. So we'll start off with first here. It says, unfortunately, like T said, you have to be ready and willing to spend to keep you at a competitive level at the very top, in my opinion. Definitely, man, and this is where now me and King, right, and then the points that we're making, we're very happy with where we're at, but we want to stay there, and the best way to stay there is by taking that risk.
But we have been willing to spend.
Yeah,
there's only a couple of teams that spent more than us over the last couple of seasons.
And do you know what? And then it's that willingness to spend. But what King is saying here, and this is where I agree with him. I love Edu. I love the job that he's done, but he definitely can improve, because the fact,
100%,
the Mudryk situation, and the Mudryk situation is perfect. So we as fans at the time were saying, if Arsenal aren't willing to pay the money, if we're not willing to overpay, then that's fine. But guess what? We spent a lot of time. If we would have put a bid in way closer to our first bid, which was closer to the final bid, I'm sure that Mudryk was an Arsenal player. And I'm once again, no knock on Trossard, no nothing like that, but we get our primary target. And if we,
I don't think we do. Because Chelsea was going in.
I
we
think
went in.
The reason why Chelsea went in, because it took too long for us to land it. They saw the opportunity.
But there's a risk. There's a big risk there going in too close to, like, okay, I'm going to buy a house, yeah? And for argument's sake, the house is £1 million. And I've only got £1 million. Yeah? I'm not going to go in at 900 grand. I'm not going to go in at 950 grand, because I haven't got too much to bargain. I haven't got no room to bargain with, yeah. So it's actually smart business sense to go to your first offer or second offer to be so close to the asking price or above what you're willing to pay. It's not smart. It's not smart businesses. And I dispute that we haven't.
But Will, what you're saying there is, if you're the only person bidding for that player, we know
for the house.
You're not the only person bidding for that house. If you really want that house, you have to.
But you just said that the only reason that Chelsea got him was because we took too long. So at some point, we were the only person in that bidding war. We were the only person going in for it. It's because, remember, Chelsea came in late doors, and when the deal looked like it was going to be done. But again, okay, Shakhtar were holding out. That wasn't down to us, though.
We don't own the market, it's true.
No,
we don't own the market.
Okay,
so we are a participant in the market, right? And we want a product. And the product was available. I think what T is saying is that you go on with the first bid. If it gets rejected, you don't need to wait 5-6 days to come with another bid and then wait again, because all that will do is invite other teams, be like, okay, this player is available. Arsenal are struggling to land him. Let's go and see what the problem is. But if you do it fast, then at least if they turn you down, you've got more time to go to another player.
Like
Shakhtar was waving his booty to someone. Shakhtar knew that they had us, and what did? They waved their booty to see if they could attract somebody else, and in come Chelsea.
But listen, the reason why I bring up Mudryk, guys, and just to make it clear, it's not because it's because it's a player that we wanted, and this is what we're saying in future cases. This is how we're gonna have to operate. We can't dilly-dally. We have to move fast, like we did with Trossard. Trust me, if we dilly-dallied on Trossard, he might be going somewhere else. Because money
yeah.
talks, and Brighton, we annoyed Shakhtar because we had their first contact with them in December, right? And we took a while in terms of a January transfer window. And the reason why Chelsea were able to get it so fast, because they came in and were serious from the outset. I'm not saying we have to operate like Chelsea. I'm just saying, eventually, if we don't do this, and I hope that we do in the summer, I'm not saying that we won't, but then we'll lose out, and then we'll become like a Liverpool.
Yeah. 100%.
But let's see what everyone else is saying in the chat. Jorginho goes against all what we've been doing. It goes, and that's where I hear you, Moss, because it goes again.
I have to agree with this statement.
If we get a Jorginho, it's because we failed in getting our primary targets, whether that's Caicedo or Zubimendi or whoever that the club been working on.
And also where we are now, where the position that we are now.
Yeah, but even if we're not in that position, no, Will. So let's say, like, you know, if we're fourth or third, right? If we lose Thomas Partey, that would we saw it firsthand last season how much that would drop our level.
Yeah.
If I like the club and I respect the club for showing ambition because they want to win the league, and I like the fact, and this is where I can't blame the Cronkies in that sense, but this is where Edu can improve, and that's where in that sense.
But also we've got to be careful not to be bent over bullied by teams to overpay. We need, just like Brighton has shown a strong hand, there are times when we need to show a strong hand.
Look at the Ben White deal. We went in with a bid, we got rejected. Second bid got rejected. We only got him in the third bid. So it's like Brighton. Like certain teams, you just have to pay them what they want, or they would not give you the player because they're not desperate. It's like Bruce said, Dortmund are like the same. Like there's certain teams, when you go to them, if you don't pay them what they want, they won't give you the player. And Shakhtar are the same. They've done this with Fred and Willian and other players, and that's just how they operate. So this is the thing as well. Like,
Also, Man City King. We paid what Man City, bearing in mind, with Jesus, with what, a year left on his contract, 45 to 50 million. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly.
It was.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, though, because he's going to come to be your number one striker. This is the difference, because he's coming in to break into the...
But what he's saying, Will, he's not talking about Jesus with 2-3 years contract. He's saying, if you look in general, in the market, when a player has a year or less left on their contract, they usually go for quite cheap. Your 20s or your 30
I understand that, but the difference between the Caicedo and Modric, they're not stars. I hear what you're saying. If you're gonna
but then
make
don't go for them
statement, but if you're gonna make those statements, but you can't say that, because all of us agree that both of those players are good players. Yeah. And they would long term, they would benefit Arsenal. So you can't say don't go for those players. It's just the fact of, when you do those kind of players, unless the player is coming in to take over or at least hard-paced challenge the first team, then you kind of got to weigh up the odds.
Do you know what I think it is? Do you know what I think it is, Will? I think Arteta and the coaching team, they back themselves so much that they know if they get these talents, they will turn them to superstar, because they already have the evidence there. They already have a Martinelli who cost 6 million. He's now a superstar. They got Bukayo Saka, academic player. He's now a superstar. You know, they got Gabriel. I think we signed him when he was 22. He's now one of the best centre backs in the world. Like, they have so many young players where they can showcase that, get us this talent and we will turn them to superstars. And that's why I think we're so confident in spending big money on young players.
Mm-hmm. Exactly that. Lisandro Martinez, at the time that they bought him, was certainly an overpay, but they're not complaining about that now because he's out helping raise the level. And even Saliba, guys, when we overpaid for Saliba, he wasn't a starter.
No,
we managed.
he
But
wasn't.
we were willing to.
Yeah,
Pay.
but did we overpay for him? What did we pay
Oh
for
yeah,
him?
for 18-year-olds
In that market,
30 mil.
almost
Yeah.
30
Yeah, but-
million for an 18-year-old.
Disagree.
He'd
I
never played a
disagree.
full season. He'd never played a full season.
30 million.
So you're talking about like so. All right, so we paid 30 million for someone who hasn't played a full season.
I know it sounds small now.
How many games has Caicedo played?
But this, but
I know,
but he's played 29.
No.
Okay.
You're saying that we.
Okay, yeah,
you
I hear your argument. But
how many?
Caicedo's
Because
played.
I don't
He's played
think 30
29.
million
I think 29 Premier League games.
and he's paid
Right.
20,
I don't
That's
think
Premier League.
you can't.
And he's
compare
also played
30
in the
million.
World Cup. And he's also a starter for his national team.
But
And he's also
I
older.
hear that,
Remember,
but-
Saliba was just 18.
But comparing the Saliba overpay, I don't see that as overpaying.
But it's just an example.
That's I know. But what I'm saying to you, for me, paying 60 million for Caicedo is overpaying by so much. And I just think that there comes a point where you have to go, you know what, this is starting to be silly now. This is starting to be silly.
But the market is silly. That's the problem.
The market is silly.
The market is silly.
Yeah, I hear you.
Look at Enzo Fernandez. He's what, 120 million?
Yeah, he's no way.
6 months, King.
Yeah.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
that's to get this premium talent. That's what you have to pay. That's the maddest part. If you're going to survive, like it's like energy bills. The energy bills market is silly. But if you're not saying I'm not getting value for money, so I'm not turning my heating on. You're gonna have to, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to survive, and that's where if we're gonna eat at the top table, we're gonna have to do this at some point. And that my point with Saliba is that's what we met. Even now at the time, I'd be shocked if Edu made that deal. If Edu made that deal for Saliba, because
it was Raul.
It was Raul. Yeah.
That
was one of the few good things that he did.
But, okay, I'll give you
he
Pepe.
did that one.
I'll give you Pepe.
And he worked on the.
But no, but this is what I'm saying.
But Pepe was. You have to understand the Pepe deal. The manager didn't want him.
But yeah,
the hierarchy, the structure of the hierarchy back then was so different. So the reason why the Pepe deal happened, we know why. It was the brown envelopes for a certain someone.
Yeah, I know.
That's why he's not here anymore.
But Will, the reason I say Saliba and the reason I say it because you can compare him to a Caicedo, to someone who hasn't got much first team experience or first team football, and you're willing to overpay for. That's my point. That's why I'm saying we're bearing in mind we're willing to overpay for Caicedo. We're putting this money on the table for Caicedo, so we're willing to do that. It's just more about Edu's negotiation like tactics. And this is where not many people have said this. I give credit for Chelsea and how they've operated since they brought their structure, because they have been ruthless, right? They have been cutthroat. Not the summer window, because they didn't have their structure in there. When they brought in that Paul Winstanley and on those other guys in their recruitment, they went, yo, it's not even about the money that they paid. They've been aggressive. It's how you behave in the market. They didn't dilly-dally. They were aggressive, and that's why they were able to get their targets in the end. And some of them might be a decent deal. Some of them might be, and that's what I'm saying. Arsenal.
Yeah, but I hear what you're saying, and that is true. That is true. Since they brought in their recruitment team, yes, they have been aggressive. But you can only be aggressive if you're using if you be that aggressive if you're using a scattergun tactics, because they haven't bought a team. They bought a bunch of expensive players. And said to Grandpa, make them work, make all these work. Yeah, because they look how many wingers they bought. Look how many wingers they bought. They need defensive players.
Except of Mudryk. I don't think they've really overspent for the other players that they've bought. No. I could be wrong.
Yeah,
I just think they bought a lot of players.
But it's and what's going to happen is, right, at some point, it's going to be impossible for them to get rid of certain players, because remember they've got a lot of players on a lot of high wages. Yeah, so a lot of the players that they're gonna I know, and a lot of players that they're gonna want to sell they're not going to be able to sell for. Because I mean, we did the same thing. It's one of the reasons why we have to be a bit more prudent about our money is because we had to end a whole heap of contracts.
This is why signing a Caicedo and a Mudrik's good though, because you can spend 80 to 100 million and they're going to still be on low wages. That's why.
I get what you're saying, and that's why that's where the Chelsea deals fall down for me, because they're not bringing them in on low wages. Because Mudrik is on like close to 200 grand or something like that, 100 over 100.
No,
100
but
you know,
I think he was on 100 grand, 100 grand as a base salary and 50 up to bonus, so he can go up to 150.
Right now, what I'm saying to you is, yes, the Chelsea were aggressive, but at some point they're going to. It will explode, because they're going to have all these players there and they're not going to recoup any money. And no one's, Bowley ain't a bottom of this pit. He's not a consortium. He's not a nation state. And to the point where the FA have brought in rules to stop him from doing that. So they can't put him on long contracts anymore and all these kind of things. So that kind of stuff will bite you. You've got to be smarter than that. And I agree to a certain degree that we need to be a little bit more aggressive with some of our signings. I agree that we need to get better, and we can improve, and we will improve. But just like Arteta being a young manager, Edu is a young, he's young in his field of work, and you gain experience. Each deal he does, he gains more experience. Next summer, we're not going to do this. You know what I mean? Next January, we're not going to do this. We're learning. These are the lessons that we're learning now.
Yeah. This is it, man. Yeah. But this is what me and King are saying. I hope that we do learn our lessons. I can see where we have, but we haven't learned it in the midfield area. We haven't. And that we learned it in that left wing position. We didn't get a Mudryk, so we brought in a Trossard. Arsenal happy about that, and he looks like he's hit the ground running and whatnot. And even if Mudryk has a better career than Trossard, but if Trossard helps us go and gets us to win the league, I'm happy with that. Because Trossard's a short-termism signing, but but this is it. Like what Chelsea, when they've overpaid and when they've been aggressive, is for Europe's best talent, right? In how much do we rate Fofana? And how much do we rate?
And if you check it as well, if you do it for players like 20, 21, and it gives you 5-6 good years, and then you can sell them for a good fee, you don't really care.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that. But
like if you get a Caicedo now, let's say he's 21, and when he's 25, 26, Real Madrid comes knocking on the door and they want to give you 150, you don't care anymore.
Yeah, I hear you. But I mean, like with the Caicedo, it's and I mean, or just any kind of replacement for Partey, the gene pool is limited. You know what I mean? It's not like there's enough players out there, because that's one of the reasons why we have a problem with Sambi. So and ultimately, Brighton don't want to sell. And I genuinely don't think, unless you went 100 million and then you're being stupid going 100 million for Caicedo. That's the only way you're going to get him out of Brighton.
Possibly.
I think 80 would get him, but it's just, we can only just speculate now, but I do think 80 would get him.
Yeah, it's just about, to be honest, this is where we, and this is what, in terms of taking a club where we want it to go and to stay at that top level, what we've done is to get us there now. Massive plaudits and credit, and I don't think I wouldn't want it in any other way to get us there. But Arsenal knows, Edu knows, Arteta knows, to stay there, you need to spend 80 to 100 million on Declan Rice. By the way, that's an overpay.
And we're going to.
And
no, it is an overpay, but we're going to.
You see, we're going to.
But this is another deal.
We were saying this about Mudryk in January. Do you know what I mean? This is what
But
me and King
Declan
are
Rice,
saying.
if you're not aggressive on him, he's gonna go somewhere else because he's that good.
Someone else will be. He's that good. Someone else.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. But what his ambitions and ours align at the moment because he wants to play Champions League football. We're going for the title. They're definitely gonna get Champions League. So realistically, the only two options for him are us and Newcastle. I can't see him going to. I can't see him going
the water.
Yeah, of course they blow us out of the water. But the better project for Declan Rice, if I was advising, would be Arsenal. And I'm not I'm taking off my Arsenal hat. It would be Arsenal because he'd fit into that side more. And
but am I wrong to say that he's a boyhood Chelsea fan?
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. You're correct.
No, I think so. Yeah,
and Chelsea could come and tell him, look at our project. We're definitely getting back into that Champions League. ASAP.
Yeah, but he wants Champions League next season. He doesn't want to wait another season. Otherwise, he'd wait out at West Ham. He's come out and said,
West Ham ain't getting your Champions League.
That's what I'm saying to you. That's what I'm saying to you. So he's come out and said the reason why he's leaving now is because he wants to play at a high level. He wants to play Champions League football. So he's not whatever team he goes
and
to
maybe
next.
if Bernardo Silva and Gundogan leaves, maybe Man City will be looking at him as well. You just
maybe.
But this is where this is it, Wilf, as me and King are saying here. I don't want to dilly-dally, put bids in, try and bully West Ham, right, for Declan Rice, because Chelsea will sniff blood and they will go in there. Yeah, he may win Champions League. I'm sure. Well, guys, the one thing we learned this window, Mudryk wanted us. But if we annoy West Ham and they go, we're not accepting Arsenal's offer at Chelsea, you go in Chelsea, you're not going anywhere. And then he's not staying at West Ham. Do you know what I mean? No. Chelsea. That's where I want us to be aggressive. Spend I'm saying spend the money just because we're willing to do that and credit Cronkies for that. But make sure you front them up early. We're Arsenal because we can't bully English clubs. We can't do that because they got enough money themselves.
No. All right, so you're getting through the comments. Go on then. Keep going.
Yeah, and then we'll wrap it up, people. Yeah. But big up each and every one of you that's locked in.
Yeah.
So we got Vibes in here saying Tereak is right about being aggressive. Chelsea could potentially sell Gallagher and Jorginho to bring in Enzo and Caicedo. 45. You see what I'm saying about the market? 45 million for Gallagher. That's crazy. Do you know what I
mean? I think that's decent money for him.
And they're thinking about it.
Yeah, and they're thinking
about it. It's not even like they're biting their hands.
Yeah. 45, but you say that's decent money for him, right? The brother's not. He's a squad player at Chelsea right now.
I know, but this is where Chelsea are going to fall into problems now because people know that they're desperate to sell. So, because they
45 million for Gallagher is crazy. That's the premium.
I know, and if people if people don't. It ain't fronting up that
Everton fronted that money. Everton fronted that. They fronted that money. That's what we're saying.
That's the problem.
That's not Chelsea's valuation. Everton said we'll pay 45 million, and that's where Gallagher's like, I don't know if I want to go Everton. They'll get that money elsewhere. They'll get that money elsewhere for Gallagher though, because he's an English player.
Yeah.
So then that's what they're able to do, and Chelsea, and even if they don't get the money, I'm confident Todd Burley will. Unfortunately, he'll pay out their contracts because he's willing to overpay on players. So I'm sure he probably won't mind. He's not moving like the Glazers. And sorry, Vibes, but they're the only ones who move like that. They will overpay on players and not willing to let them go. Even though Enzo's free, his crackhead prices, it is indeed.
Yeah.
Peony. He's joking here. He definitely is. Before Todd Burley starts sniffing around the street. 150.
That's where he gets it from.
Exactly. Moss saying 115 million for Enzo, but for a future star like Caicedo, more offensive with Enzo. But hella no, with 31-year-old Jorginho going 32. So yeah, Moss seeing it. He's like, something you gotta have to pay them big bucks. Unfortunately. What else we got in the chat? John Joe Shelby is way better than Jorginho G Wills. I don't know about that. But is G Wills a Forest fan? I think G Wills is. Big up yourself,
Okay.
G Wills. Let's have a look. Doggy wants some screen time. Let him say hello, Wilf.
All right. Now he's chilling now. He's chilling.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll show you him. He's down there.
There he is. Fast asleep now. Chilling.
Yeah,
End the stream. It's been 3 days. It's been 2 hours and 20 minutes. That's how long it's been.
I don't. Bless you.
Thank you. And we've got through a few more, and then we'll wrap it up here. We got Avik saying, "Big up yourself, Avik." He was a subscriber from the AFTV interviews that we did, King. So big up yourself, Avik. Says Jorginho has 6 months left, so I'm fine if it's a stopgap. Yep, I agree. And 10 million, but we need to spend big in the summer. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, without doubt. And I think we will.
19
I have
games.
no doubt we will.
Yeah, let's hope so. Because I was confident before going into January that we were going to spend big, but it's not been an issue of like us, not wanting to spend. It's just been how we've gone about.
We need to spend wisely, big but wisely.
Yeah. So big investments, like a Caicedo, he'll be worth it as long as we're not going crazy on the wages. Yep, sometimes the overpay works, but look at the dog, exactly. And other times you get Baz Maguire. Yeah, it's true. Sometimes you do, and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. It's overpaying. Arsenal need to bid for Onana right now. CG Wills. I'm not the biggest of Onana fan, and I haven't been ever since he really went to Everton.
I think he's more a destroyer. If I'm honest, if you want a number 6 that's old school, that will tackle, intercept, then yeah. But if you want to dominate possession, he's not the one. Sorry.
Yeah.
Agree. Isco to Union Berlin, Asmoon to Marseille, 105 mil. Enzo, they agreed. They're saying, wow, madness. And Avik with a final comment: 2018, Pep and Man City wanted Jorginho from Napoli before Chelsea hijacked the deal with Sarri. Maybe he can help us in the short term. Avik, that's where I agree. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I think
6 years ago, though, T. I think for me, if it's 2020, I would do it. But the Jorginho I've seen lately, with all the injuries that he's picked up on, he doesn't look the same player for me anymore. That's my issue. I'm not sure how good he is currently in 2020.
That was what I said when we started about the Jorginho thing, was him being 2 years past it. But he's not going to be playing. He's not going to be playing every game.
Yeah, that's why I agree with you.
He's not going to be playing a full season.
I think his role at Arsenal, King, will suit him and the stage in his career better than the role he's currently got at Chelsea.
Because Chelsea, he has to be
the
main man.
He will suit the high intensity pressing style of football that we do in defense.
If we get him, I don't think he is part of that high press, because Partey isn't necessarily high. Partey's more your bodyguard security. The pressing is done by your Odegaard, your Sakas, your Martinelli's.
Because he doesn't have the physicality of a Partey, so it's gonna have to do something.
Partey doesn't really press that much.
But
Partey doesn't. No, because he reads the game and he can just bully you with his physicality. Yeah. But we know Jorginho.
I think Jorginho reads the game just as well, and I think he would be okay with us. Because he wouldn't be part of that high intensity press. Yeah, he's the second stage of that. He's the second stage of that, and he reads the game well enough to be part of that.
Yeah, it's true. And with Jorginho as well, I hear what you're saying, no King, because he's not a Partey replacement in that. Whereas we see like Caicedo can certainly do that. But granted, I'm sure Arteta will find a way. Because he has found a way to get the best out of Granit Xhaka, and Granit Xhaka's worked hard to do that as well. So, and you wouldn't necessarily say that Mohamed El Nene is the best presser. Do you know what I mean? And even though he does run, and if you check at Jorginho's running stats, they will tell you something different. Do you know what I mean? So man, it's about and our press is a little bit more, and the best way he was seeing it against City is way more conservative.
Yeah.
pick our moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we
There's
did
a
it.
lot
We
of
did,
those-
we did against
there's
Man United
certain
as well. We did
zones
against
that
Man
we-
United as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
What was
certain
you saying?
zones that we press at and others that we don't. It's
Yeah.
quite, and I
We
think
set
he's
traps.
figured out that
We set traps.
it's because he
We
doesn't
set
want us to
traps rather
burn out
than-
at the end of the games.
Yeah.
Basically, that's
Yeah.
what it is. Or become a
Which-
Liverpool where you're at the top for 2-3 years, but then the players are burnt
Yeah.
out, can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Exactly. We've got the Scottish technician if you want him to.
Yeah.
Nowhere near Scott McTominay, midfield general.
That's
I don't know
funny.
why Newcastle.
I
would have been
wouldn't
a
put him in the
basketball team.
Arsenal vets team, geriatric team. I wouldn't put him in, man.
Newcastle are trying to build a basketball team. Sander Berge and McTominay. That's like 6 foot. They're about the same height as King. King, you're gonna get
Yeah,
the
I
call
know.
up from Newcastle.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why we can't see him. He's doing negotiations now behind the screen.
But I do
Exactly.
wonder, sooner or later that strategy is not gonna work.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It is true. I don't think it will. But what I think what they're trying to do now is build a real physical side. Do you know, similar to how Chelsea did when they came in more money? They built
When they had Balak and SCN and Mikel,
that
John
fight,
Obi Mikel and
and then
everybody was big. Alex and all of them, man. Yeah.
And
I used
bro,
to hate to play against them.
and we know with Burnley and Stoke, eating no tech can get you far in this league.
Yeah.
Like it can get you in Europe. So let alone with a little sprinkle bit of Bruno Guimaraes and that in there, a little bit of tech, and then when they get the Champions League, then they can add the stardust because the players will actually want to be there as well. But guys, I am gonna. Last question, says Tezzy in
I
here.
saw that myself. Yeah.
Okay, last question. What's the most you would pay for Jorginho? I'm hearing 15 to 20 now. Wilf, what are you paying most?
I'd say 15, and I think Chelsea would take that.
15. I'm saying 20. You know, I'm saying 20 at most. 20 mil. What about you, King? I know you're not a big fan of the deal, so what's the most that you're paying?
10. I think if it's more than that, we might as well just go and pay Bamba's release clause of or is it like 26?
I hear that.
Yeah.
But then that 20 mil I think this is the thing. Jorginho makes a bigger impact in the short. Like, I mean, does he make a bigger impact? It's a safer bet going for Jorginho than a Bamba.
Yeah, but there's no
100%.
guarantee. So I say 15 max on Jorginho, and
but then
if you're going up to 20, go release calls for Samba. I'm with King on that one.
Moss is saying Moss
Minus
is saying
10.
G Wills is agreeing with you
Yeah.
there. Guys, it will be interesting, and I really do appreciate each and every one of you in the chat. It's been great.
It's been great.
It's been a fiery one, debating one, and this is why I like these shows to be. This is why I made this channel, because I want different opinions and stuff. Because at the end of the day, none of us are right. It's just all of our opinions. Do you know what I mean?
I'm always right.
No, Will's definitely wrong.
I'm always right.
Will, okay, now he said that, Will's always wrong. Yeah. I really do appreciate it, guys, because it is always interesting, and football is a crazy game. Like, Will maybe proven right by next week, and then next year it might look like it's me, etc.
Yeah,
you never know. That's why I say you're never really right in football, because it always changes. Everyone was saying João Cancelo's this great, wonderful baller not too long ago. And no one spoke about his defensive issues. Nobody. And now everybody's speaking about it. Do you know what I mean? So, hey, big up each and every, but big up each and every one of you in the chat. But big up my amazing panelists once again. King, I know you came in. I know you came in a little bit later, my bro, but I really appreciate you coming in, man. I really do. Thank you for taking the time out. And this was meant to be an hour and a half show, but when the king arrives, you have to make space for royalty.
Exactly. You know that.
I mean? Sorry for dragging out the show so long, but it was just so much to talk about today, isn't it?
For real.
It's crazy. But hopefully, or thankfully, tomorrow, 11 o'clock, the window is closed and we can go back to just speaking about
normality.
Arsenal.
I'm with
and
Peeny
where they
on
are, top of the league.
I'm with Peeny on this. I know I've spent about 2.5 hours talking about it, but I cannot wait for the transfer window to shut.
Yeah.
I can't. I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy it. I don't.
No,
I don't take it that
it's
seriously.
annoying,
I just
isn't
think
it?
people take people to put too much stock in who someone else out there instead of looking at what is in our stable. What is in our stable is good enough to get us this far. Yeah, every team's always adding, but I'm loving where Arsenal is at the moment. I'm loving, that we weren't expected to be here. So what's the saying that we won't win the title?
Yeah, but and this is where I think King will probably agree with me with this, is because when you watch so much football and you see certain players and you see how they would fit into your system, and you watch all these like tactical breakdowns and stuff, and you're like, right, you feel. I definitely, you can't, as a fan, you always get excited no matter what you tell.
Oh, 100%.
So
100%.
When you hear nonsense that goes on and stuff, it does get draining after a bit. It does, don't you think?
Yeah. The only window I like is the summer one. So,
but even that, you get long drawn out ones.
I know,
it's too long.
But summer's when you're supposed to be buying new players for freshman squad. I hate the January one because it's so inflated. Everybody loses their mind, wondering why this team will not sell to us, because they got their own agenda. And they don't take that into consideration, So,
but then in the summer you have the domino effect. Do you know, when you're waiting on certain clubs to sell this player, and then they've got to sign a replacement, and then you know what I mean, and you have that the triangles, the love triangles. You know them.
I love that.
You remember when Chelsea had to loan Batshuayi to Dortmund for Dortmund move to Aubameyang to Arsenal, like those kind of things.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
And then also in the summer ones, you have like your Neymar transfers, which kicks off everything. Like Neymar goes for 200 mil to PSG, then Barcelona sign this man, and then they're overinflated here, so we get this player, and I
have to see who wins the transfer window. Who's gonna win the transfer window this time?
Even that winning the transfer window is crazy, because no one would have said we would have won the transfer window.
I know.
Then, and then we look like we're winning it now, but then that could all get proven differently.
Well, this is what I'm saying to you. It's about all this stuff about who we're going to bring in, and this man's going to bring in, and this man's going to do this, that, and the other. Even when those men come in, it don't prove nothing, because like the team I'm talking about said they won the transfer window. Where are they now? They're struggling to hang on to fifth.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
But just as we wrap up, guys, King, let the people know where they can find you, my man.
Yeah, obviously you can find me here every week talking about Arsenal with my two brethren, and you can find me on my own show, King's Football Show, as well. Big up to T for having us.
Yep.
Appreciate you, my man. Appreciate you, King. And big up the Don of South London himself. Guys, if you're a long time subscriber to the channel, you will know the reason why he's the Don of South London. He's a man of many names. Then the name he carries here is Don Wilf. So now big up my brother each and every time. Thank you for taking the time out as well. And
it's been an absolute pleasure to be on with you boys. As always, man. Each week I think, this show's the best one, but I love how it's heated. I love the discussion. The chat has been especially the last two shows. The chat has been outstanding. Questions, debate, all the rest of it. Thank you for having us. But you'll find me in the chat. You'll find me here and every Arsenal show till there's a new signing and I go somewhere else, then you'll find me here.
See, Will's moving like Mudrick now. That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Where the money goes. Where the money goes.
I'm like Chronicles. I really want to go Chronicles. I love Chronicles of the Goon and stuff. And
he's twerking.
TV up on AFTV.
King
See me
twerk,
for that.
King twerks for Tom, but he dipped his Tom
Yeah.
for me because I come in
Yeah,
aggressive.
exactly.
with
There
a
you
big-
go. There you go. You see what I'm saying?
Big pause on
See
that
what I'm saying?
vibes. Big pause.
Yeah.
Oh
Pause,
gosh.
pause.
I know, big pause. And I said I come in aggressive. Nah, that was wrong. I shouldn't have
Yes.
said that. But that's where I'll wrap it up, people. We're getting into
Yeah.
silly time now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I really appreciate you all. Hey, I hope you all have a good rest of your week coming up ahead as well. Transfer deadline day tomorrow. So you know what? I'll be here. So love to you
Yeah.
all, people. And
You doing the show for tomorrow, yeah?
Oh yeah, for a deadline day.
Wicked.
Talking
You have
about
to.
all the other
Deadline
clubs and
day, you
stuff as
have
well.
to.
Yeah.
And, hey, it's an open floor for you as well. Anyone that's welcome, whether you're an Arsenal fan or not, the floor will be open. I'll dash a link. It'll be like a call-in show talking about the deadline day
Wicked.
activities. So yeah, take care, people, and stay tuned.
Big up.